Welcome. It is 7:06 p.m. It is Friday night. It is the 3rd of September. And tonight is the night for the new norm 2.0 with Mo Delgado, your host. We have quite a lot of information that we want to talk about. We have some things that we should talk about. And hopefully those of you share some of the same sentiments, or possibly if you share something totally different. If your concerns are a little different than ours, then please come on and share your point of view. It's the discussion is going to be widespread, but hoping everyone is well. And as we continue going on, I want to make sure that everything is linked up and making sure that all things are good. So bear with me as I get all the other factions together, because you know how it be doing, especially Facebook. Be doing this mug. Let me get it up. So I'm hoping everyone is well. Hope the weekend is jam-packed with a whole bunch of wonderful things to do. I'm hoping that you have a lot of good. Everything is lagging, y'all. Everything is lagging. Everything is lagging, y'all. Everything is lagging, y'all. I see you, Nick. You on? I see Sandy. Sandy, you on? It's good to see. Hope everybody can come in if they'd like to. Got my Facebook on. I want to make sure everything is locked in. It's public, and we are live. Now I'm going to have to put up the YouTube, make sure everybody's good there. YouTube is the one that takes a little bit of time. They always find some way to get in the way. You know what I mean? So we'll see how it goes. Hope everybody's well. Hope everybody likes a little bit of the music that we're putting on now. It's called All That by a group by the name of, that's actually the bensound.com. So it looks like we're almost there, y'all. We're almost there. Thank you for being with me. Want to make sure that I give credit where credit is due. First and foremost, background music provided through www.bensound.com. So let me lower it down. Let it play in the background. So welcome to the show, y'all. It's Friday evening. It is your boy Mo Delgado. This is the new norm 2.0. We're glad to see that everyone, well, I wish we were able to see everyone, but I'll say this. It's a good day to be alive. It's a good day to be amongst the living. Every day that you're within the living, it's a good day. First off, I'd like to say thank you for tuning in. For those of you that are watching this live, and for those that you may not caught this live but are catching on the repeat. Whatever it is, it's good to have some family around. It's extremely important that everybody pays attention, because today, in the age of America 2021, we're not promised tomorrow. So we have to make sure we appreciate each and every day. So with that being said, I want to make sure that everyone is fully aware that we here at the New Norm really appreciate y'all. We really appreciate y'all. So as we continue going, I want to make sure that we're all paying attention to what's going on. And let's put some things everybody's sharing. Nick, my mother-in-law, for those of y'all been praying for, we really appreciate it. Big Nick's a fighter. She ain't gonna give up, so we're gonna make sure that we got her back. Sandy, hopefully you'll tune in a little later. I see that you're probably at work, man. So whatever the case is, you know how we do. 3 hours strong, 3 hours long. So let's talk about some things. All right, first and foremost, um, uh, Hurricane Ida came in and created so much havoc in the United States, and specifically in the greater Bayou area of Louisiana. We have to make sure that we pay attention to the individuals down there because they're going to go through some hard times in recovery. In addition to, we also have to pay attention to the weather coming because weather is not necessarily playing fair these days. Mother Nature is letting off a wrath. So we want to make sure that we do what we can if you're able to give some assistance to those in um, those that can assist. Can assist. I want to see if I can locate something real quick that might be a setup for Hurricane Ida. Of course, it's the Red Cross. We're not going to necessarily tell you to where in the Red Cross, but right now you have different ones. They're not even set up. That's deep when things aren't set up. But AP News says there's lots of recovery signs, daunting destruction going on throughout the Gulf Coast, in addition to the residual damage that it did also, because when it went up the North Coast, you saw some historic flooding take place out through Pennsylvania, through North New Jersey, and through New York City. In national press, if you haven't watched the TV news or on video, you see all these remnants of how the New York subway systems became underwater tunnels. They were filled with so much water. There was areas that haven't seen water, at least water to that degree, and they were basically on boats throughout these major metropolis or metropoli, whichever the way to conjugate that word, throughout North Jersey and throughout New York. So there's lots of water, a lot of water damage. I have a friend of mine who lives in Brooklyn who talked about how there was so much water coming at such a rapid rate that it was very difficult for the draining systems to be able to manage all the water that was coming in. So, they were seeing 3 and 4 feet of water in their homes. So there's going to be a lot of damage taking place. Mother Nature is tired of all the bullshit, how we're constantly disrupting the flow of things, not paying attention to global warming and how she's affected. And she's just letting you know who's the real HNIC. So for those who don't know that term, you can Google it yourself. But she's the top boss. She'll let you know when it comes to this earth, she runs things. So whatever we can to do to avoid adding to the turmoil, please do so. Of course, the green way of life is always the proper way of life. We have to make sure that however we play the game, we play it right and we play it fair when it comes to Mother Nature. Because if not, she's going to have always the upper hand on us, and she'll just let us know through hurricanes and through storms. And we saw tornadoes in Bensalem, Pennsylvania. I know this scared the shit out of them people in Pennsylvania because they've never seen tornadoes. We've heard of tornadoes or huge and massive wind spurts come in through South Jersey area, the greater Philadelphia, Camden, suburban area. In that area saw major wind damage. Areas that weren't necessarily prepared to deal with issues of this magnitude didn't have like flood insurance. So a lot of them, you're gonna see a lot of turmoil, a lot of damage. The fact that damage is usually assessed by the dollar value. To me, I've always had a problem with that shit because lumber doesn't cost the same everywhere. Labor doesn't cost the same everywhere. So to use a terminology like damage and the amount of money having to repair things is not a good assessment. But either which way, there's still a lot of damage that took place all over the place. And I'd like to extend a apology to all those that are watching right now, because I know I look scruffy. My beard's not even brushed, and I hate the fact that I'm looking like I feel right now, which is all over the place. I ain't got my did a little more shiny than I need to. My damn light broke. Today's a special day, boy. I tell you, today's a special day. But either which way, I'm not going to complain too much more. I want to make sure that everything is good. So let's go back to the hurricane. In discussions right now, Louisiana Attorney General announces a big probe in the deaths of 4 nursing home residents. nursing homes have been a target, or they've been part of many sad stories throughout the nation when it comes to inclement weather, dangerous weather anomalies, and things of what have you. And people are paying attention. There's 4 people who apparently have passed away in a nursing home in the greater Louisiana, the state of Louisiana, and they're looking into it because there was a lot of time to prepare for such damage considered that Ida was going to bring. In addition to, there was just storms before that. So they were prepared and on alert to be able to do what they needed to do, transfer residents, to put aid to it, to have a secondary plan to make sure human lives were preserved and damage was minimized. So it seems like someone didn't read the memo, and unfortunately some people's passed away. So as they go on, you're going to find more and more stories like this all over the place, because the unfortunate truth is when it comes to senior services and end of life provisions for seniors, America is falling behind. We're not doing right by our seniors unless they're extremely wealthy. And as we know in society today, very few are wealthy. Although they have 99% of the wealth, it's only 1% of the greater population that owns 99% of the wealth. The rest of us are just struggling. And as we're continuing, senior citizens struggle even more so because limited income, lack of ability to make more income, and then sometimes the health issues, concerns like that, inability to be able to physically manage and navigate in regular employment, let alone regular life. So a lot of times they need assisted living, and that's costly. So just pay attention as we move forward. You're going to see lots of that, different stories about that's concerned. And just do what you can to aid and assist, making sure that residents that you know, or people or family members that you know that are in assisted living or senior living spaces are being taken care of fairly, and making sure the staff there is happy. Do what we can to assist the staff, because a lot of times it's not the staff, it's the administrators who are only looking at numbers and not looking at lives, that make these determinations that impact lives so much. So we shout you out. Thank you so much as we tip our hats to all our caring staff members throughout the United Nations, or throughout the nation, who care for the seniors. It's extremely important that you guys get your flowers. So let's move a little further. The discussions that are had right now, of course, we have Biden and his move to take out America from Afghanistan. The discussion is continuing. It's so much being said that this was done so it wasn't thought out. It wasn't a plan that was executed. It wasn't thought out properly. It wasn't considerate of how it left Afghanistan. It wasn't considered of how it left Americans in Afghanistan, and then Afghani people. There's a lot to be said. There's a lot going on right now. However, the truth is that it's happened. America has been extracted from Afghanistan, a nation that's not ours. It's a nation that has been impacted by our policies and our military, and has been made to feel very dependent, per se, of us as a nation and what we provide. And the unfortunate truth is, it's unfair that we've left that nation to its own demise, per se, in a somewhat of a vortex the way it is. It creates so much more hostility. We were led to believe that it was a Taliban 2.0, and until we saw the ISIS-K, I don't know what this letter comes from, but ISIS-K come about. So with all these individuals taking place, Afghanistan is not a friendly place. It hasn't been for the past 25 plus years. And we have to make sure that we are open to receive whatever assistance, whatever people need to find refuge in America for them, for their help that they've gotten, that we've gotten from them, from all our allies that we've built in that nation. Because there's plenty of people who work to assist us in our mission in Afghanistan who have unfortunately had to face whatever kind of justice system the Taliban is seeking to have against their own people that way. So we have to be very fair about it. If we've asked them to become our allies, we have to protect them. take care of those people that took care of us. So moving forward, Afghanistan is going to be a topic of discussion on a wide scale for so long. It's going to be political fodder. To some extent, I think it's going to be so much bullshit involved in it because they're always looking for the parties, political parties, the Republicans and Democrats are always looking for some reason to hate each other, to dislike each other, to always have a versus symbol. There's always something that they strive in to polarize our nation, and we always feel so strong about this and that and everything. And to me, it's malarkey. It's just a bunch of nonsense to try to justify having adversity, having an oppositional point of view. That's what holds us back, unfortunately, is old time politics and these politicians that have been placed way too long. So that's my own personal opinion. And it's not opinion of anybody else, but it is what it is. This is the good thing about living in the United States is that we have a right to have an opinion, but we have to also understand that having an opinion can come with some consequences. So let's keep putting the pressure where we need to. The discussion continues when it comes to Afghanistan. We don't know what kind of benefits we're going to have other than creating the vortex, and is it going to empower the Taliban to be even stronger? Will it be such a massive entity in that part of the world that we have to come back to try to eliminate them from being in power totally? But it just goes to show you, as always, America, well, that's for another discussion. I ain't even going to talk about that anymore, but let's keep people in prayer for the individuals who were impacted by the bombing that just recently took place with ISIS-K, the people that are hurting right now, those that are looking and striving for answers where there is none, having discussions of people asking for consideration when those people are cold-blooded and don't care and consider anything else but what they want in life. Just save your energy. When the time comes, you decide what you need to decide properly. So let's move forward as far as that's concerned. When it comes to the national agenda is filled with so much about nothing, really. So much about unnecessary things at times because we're so wrapped up in just the fodder that's getting pushed up. A lot of stuff that's having discussions about things and about people and subject matter that really doesn't impact the small person that you and I all over America. Here in New Jersey, the discussions right now, of course, having to do with the elections that are pending. 2 months from now, there'll be a lot of decisions from the state governor all the way down to local school boards. It's extremely important that we pay attention to every one of these elections and everything. There's been a sense of, I would say, gratuitous entitlement that has been had for too long when it comes to the groupthink process of politics. What's being pushed so often is vote the line, vote the entire party, vote everything. That has been part of the problem. The discussions that we've seen on the dais in the Senate, what we've seen in Congress is the discussion of pork or pork bellies or things that we find have nothing to do with one bill, but are stuck in between the headlines and the little details to get it in. So much insignificant things that would not win on their own hide underneath very important, impactful resolutions and in laws that are being discussed in Congress. The same situation is locally. And how does that happen? Because of groupthink. We think, in essence, everything about one thing is so good that we're going to win all the way around, when we've seen too often that it is not. Me, myself, I've recently taken a leap out of being a lifelong Democrat into being independent. I still lean towards Democrats because a lot more Democrats than Republicans think the way I do, but I'm inclined more so to give people a chance because I know, in essence, most of the time on a local level, there is no such thing as a Republican versus a Democrat because they're both saying the same shit from different points of view. They're both willing to do the same things for the same circle of friends, a small little grouping of friends and not the masses. So I try not to get involved in local politics or the political jargon of Republican versus Democrat versus Green Party this way and that way, because to me, they're all letters of a transmission, and your transmission is broke if you keep relying on that. It isn't. Always choose the person and not the party. Choose your mind and not the line. Look through all the individuals who are putting themselves out for consideration and choose who you think best fits the position and what you want for the community. Don't assume that this person that is in front of you, because they share the same party that you do, has you in mind. Don't think that these people out here who are saying they represent your party, your political party, are going to do the best thing for you, because we've seen too often that's not the case. They make an assumption that because you're on the same party that you're going to naturally garnish the support, and then you never get heard. And again, your voice gets left behind. Nothing happens to benefit you, your community, your family, the area that you live in, because you naturally were pushed in this whole groupthink process, and your vote, it's only tabulated to be part of a massive push to push this one person, and that person never really gave a damn about you in the first place. Politics is a real messed up game. And if we keep allowing that same process to continue, we can't expect any changes to come about. We have to make sure that we understand who represents us and what they are. I'm not in this present time going to vote for many Republicans. However, there's some Republicans that I do feel have some good points of view, and they've shown a lot of positive or pro my concept. I'm going to say they're more so aligning a lot with some of the concepts that I like and some of the things that I think we need, and they're willing to come to the table to share not only the points of view and then designing whatever fabric that we need as a plan, but also taking partnership and making sure that they share partnership all the way around, and not just assuming that because I won, it's always mine, 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 mine. So I've seen some individuals like that. So I'm looking forward to see how this goes on moving forward. However, everyone out here has a voting chance to vote for whoever they want. Don't assume because you're a Democrat, somebody else who's saying they're a Democrat are going to be concerned about you. We've seen that happen too often. They go in as a Democrat, they do a bunch of illegal things. They're hoarding resources and opportunities for themselves in their circles. We've seen how county chairs who are supposed to be representing their own political party has sided and helped their opposites, the opponent, the opposite party. I know of a Democratic chair who helped a Republican get a position in a municipality where the Democrat was the mayor, and they found positions, and there were other Democrats looking for that same position, but no, they sided with a Republican to do so. And I'm like, isn't he supposed to be loyal to his Democrats? As a chair of a political party, isn't he supposed to be loyal? But I guess loyalty depends on who it is and what it is. And in this whole process of politics, it only seems to be loyal to money. They're only loyal to money. If you can make them money, you'll get some loyalty. If you can give them money, you can find some loyalty. If you're depending on them to give you money, they're not loyal to you. Don't expect jack shit. An example with this recent just take place, the American Recovery Plan. I think those are the terms. I think I saw it wrong. It's the ARP, where these finances came out from the federal government through the infrastructure bill. Some 16 million. I think that is the tally that I remember. $16 million that trickled down into 9, which is down to 6. It's supposed to trickle down to our municipality here in Lake City to be able to give not only all taxpayers a $500 incentive or $500 stipend so they can assist for their property taxes, but in addition to, part of the plan was to grant those that were considered essential workers and working during the pandemic a stipend of some $3,500 a person. Well, I guess human error on the political side, and people's personal feelings gotten involved. And what happened, it seemed like the administration jumped the gun without getting approval of the state. And the state is now saying, we're not going to give it until we feel comfortable about it. And remember, this is all political season. This is one person who's running for position talking about the other person who's running for their position, and they all want to sit up there and be able to hold the flag and look equally like Superman. But at the end result, you have a lot of people that were told about this money who are depending on this money. A lot of people who are taxpayers were looking forward to having a little help through that $500 stipend, now cannot depend on it anytime soon. Will it happen? I think it will. I think it will. I think cooler heads will prevail, and I think what is happening right now is trying to negotiate who gets it, how they get it, how it's determined, which I would say is actually a proper way to do it. The state is saying, you can release it after we're able to tell who gets the money and how it's determined. And it verifies when people out there working, as many people as were working during this pandemic, didn't have a chance to go out and work from home. They had to work, coming into work every day, 5-6 days a week, sometimes having to work overtime because no one else could at the time. Those people are due that stipend of appreciation, and hopefully that'll come about. And I'm hoping, and I'm sort of confident you'll find some resolution. Will it happen soon? I don't know. However, I will say this: the election takes place November 2nd, 2021. For this to come out shortly before the election, I would not be surprised. If this came out the week of the election, it wouldn't surprise me at all, or the week before the election. So you can feel good about what you had received, as they remind you they're the ones that did it for you. It's always politics. So moving forward, let's cross our fingers for people who, could really use that economic push or that economic shot in the arm, especially the taxpayers that have been made to pay, didn't have a chance to sit back and escrow and get a supportive system to help them pay their property taxes. And those who own property throughout the city and who have tenants who couldn't pay their rent, so they had to pay a lot more out of their regular funds and savings to keep owning this property, and keeping it from being in arrears. And it's just a lot of money that was having to be pushed out. Hopefully this comes out and everyone who is due the money can get it. So I know there's quite a few of us that are going to be fighting. Well, I wouldn't necessarily call it a fight. It's more so we'll be speaking, encouraging the governing bodies to really consider this and execute it, move forward for the benefit of the people, because ultimately the taxpayers pay this money to the federal government. Taxpayers pay this money to state government, local money. This is your money that you're sending out there. This is your money that has also been added to this big pot of money that's being thrown back. So you're getting your money back. It's not a hookup. It's not a lend. It's not a loan. It's not Uncle Charlie giving you a blessing. Uncle Joe no. This is your money. You're getting it back, a piece of the money that you've been spending on government services for decades. So let's cross our fingers and take a swig. Anyway, so that's something to consider. But please look into it, because the American Recovery Plan, I think that's what it is. If I can find my phone, I'm going to get you the exact terminology that's been used about it. It is called the American Rescue Plan Act. And it's crazy because in New Jersey, the first city that got money from this American Rescue Plan Act, this is the act that I was just talking about, using $73.8 million. They got money from, they're the first ones that got money from this. So it's just a lot of discussion as far as having this American Rescue Plan. One of the overall discussions are being had right now is because so much money was allotted. I ain't gonna say so much, but quite a big amount of money was allotted for the state of New Jersey. And then certain cities got 3, 4, even 5 times the amount of money that Atlantic City seems to have gotten or seems to receive. This is all an appearance because the last updated information may have been miscalculated either which way. Hopefully, we'll get some new data to suggest the more real payouts that are going out. But places like Trenton, which we know is, although it's the capital of the state of New Jersey, but the municipality itself, does it compare to the other large cities? I don't think so. I think it's somewhere in between. It is bigger than Atlantic City. However, the demands on Atlantic City, I think, far surpasses Trenton and some of the other larger cities. So it depends on what your gauge of evaluation is. But there's a lot of cities who got a big payout or getting a big payout, and their individuals are getting not 3,500. I was told, I think a couple cities in North Jersey were looking at $10,000 per person. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money to consider. So whatever it is, I'm hoping that it comes down, and if it comes down the pipe, it comes down quickly, because the essential workers that have worked all these hours for so long under these conditions, not knowing, not having the support systems that others may have, having to rely on secondary information, having to rely on incorrect information, being encouraged to work in the conditions that are considered potentially dangerous, and still having to do so. And so the only thing you got was a pat in the back, thank you, good job. Nah, break them off some support funds. So hopefully it'll go into the necessary mechanisms so people can get paid. So that's the recovery plan. However, let me add this. This was part of a larger law or plan of attack from the President of the United States, Uncle Joe, aka President Biden, and the Senate, trying to push recovery finances to help continue mobilizing the economy in the United States. This was intended for the best intents for more people to get the benefits. However, we know that when you let politics gets involved, it always messes things up. So from the state side down to local side, people are putting out their chest. I did this, I did that, when in essence they didn't do shit. They were just in place at the time when this came about. They're putting their chest out. I've done so much under this condition, so on and so forth. No one else has done this and what have you. No one else in this time period has ever faced being in the position under the pandemic. So you have no one else that can compare to. So you're going to pull out your chest and do what? If you want to pull out your chest and talk about the successes, you also have to accept the failures that you've had under the same role. The failures. And if the failures far surpass the successes, then let it be. So shall it be. You can't always get a win in life, but you have to be able to recover respectfully and not let collateral damage add up. And the collateral damage are the constituents, the human beings that are depending on us as leaders to step in to do what's right. The more and more we do that, the faster our infrastructures break apart, the faster our cities fall apart, the more and more people suffer. They don't deserve to suffer. So put your chest away, put your ego in your back pocket, pull out them boots, them expensive boots you got in your closet, and get to work. Shut your mouth. Don't talk about yourself so much, and let's get some work done. There's a lot of work to be done. As the schools are now opening up soon, very, very soon, there's going to be concerns about COVID-19. You know, that virus that has ran through the entire city, entire the state, and then numbers have been hidden, or the actual data has been dampered or been like edited so it doesn't look as high as it actually is. I've heard stories of local medical institutions turning away people of COVID, knowing they had COVID, so they wouldn't have to report it. And more of that happened. And again, I say this: if you're a hub of entertainment, of tourism, like we are in Lake City, there's an unfair expectation that your numbers will be constantly low. And the expectation is only because people come to your destination and they leave to return back to their homes. They may have gotten sick, gotten COVID-19 while they're there in your territory, in your area, being entertained, um, doing concerts, restaurants, whatever it is that they come and recreate in the boundaries that you call home. But because they don't live, they don't spend longer than 24 hours there, they go back to their areas. And in those areas, those numbers are spiking. It seems to be not enough people are making those connections to understand that there may be an atmosphere of super spreading when we have these large events, when we have these um, expansive entertainment venues that are not set up under the standards of protection when it comes to COVID-19, but solely on the hopes of making mass amounts of money. And again, people are looking for the money than they are preserving life. So the end result is what it is. And I pray that my expectations are wrong and everything is coming out a lot more successful than it seems. That's what I'm hoping. The small businesses sure as hell they need that shot in the arm. And Americans today are getting a lot more cabin fever, being stuck in their homes and not able to enjoy the small little levels of enjoyment that they've had before this pandemic. So let's see how it goes. But ultimately, pay attention to the people who work in the medical field in your area. You'll get a better understanding of how drastic or how minimal it is in your area. However, if it seems to be minimal, don't just let it slide that way and think everything is coochie crunch. No, no, no. This variant, this Delta variant, is very aggressive. And it's an aggression. It comes and it takes over people's immune system. So I had to put my concoction together, y'all. So it's extremely important that we pay attention to these things because in jest, I say this, I am 51 years old. And in my age, just thinking about some of the things I've experienced in my life gives me a form of a database that I can rely on and go back and think about things thoroughly. And I have a lot of discussions with younger people, much younger people, and they hate hearing you're young, you're too young. They hate having that kind of category cast upon them or that envelope placed upon them or that box. They want to feel that way. And I understand how they feel because all of us at one point in time felt the same way. Don't tell me I'm too young, because you're saying I can't or I don't know. Well, we as older folks just fear more about the potential of it can happen and how it can endanger you. So we try to embark and we try to impart upon you the wisdom that we have from our experiences and what knowledge we do have. It is your opportunity to take this information and make better judgments if you find it necessary, or just throw it away as garbage, and then whatever comes may be, you can't blame anyone but yourself. So, but moving forward, we know that this variant was carried by human beings. This variant seems to live for an extended amount of time on hard surfaces. So if it depends on being carried by human beings, the less people you're around, the less opportunity you have of catching or contracting COVID-19. If the people that you're around are equally aggressive in trying to protect themselves and everyone else by making sure they follow the mandate of a mask, washing hands, and avoiding touching their eyes or orifices with their hands or anyone else's hands in their orifices or their mouths, you can minimize the potential of COVID-19 spreading upon you. This Delta variant is a bitch to a lot of people because its aggression is moving on people's immune systems quickly. And some of the people out here, immune systems they're not sharp anyway. I mean, we've seen generation after generation, our immune systems are getting weaker and weaker. Some of it having to do with the fact that our food, the toxicities in our food and the chemical balances in our food are helping to decay on some of the elements that we need. For those of you who may not know, your immune system weighs heavily on your lower intestine. And because of how the food is being processed and food itself sits up there, and if it's not moving properly and you're sitting up with toxins, your immune system gets affected. So if our food is trash, we're eating trash, and it sits in our system as trash, our immune system is going to be trash. And now with these new, smarter viruses like COVID-19 happening, we have less of a chance of fighting it the way we could have if we would have taken care of our bodies more. So that's just basically it in a nutshell. We have to be more conscious about how we treat our body, and we have to enable ourselves to be better fighters in it by making sure we clean our pipes, eat as many green vegetables as possible, drink clear water, minimize your sugar and salt intake, making sure that you know your system works and how it works. It's not to say that you're going to deprive yourself of some of the goodies you've liked, but not to the degree that you've allowed yourself to consume. Just because you have a chocolate cake don't mean you can eat half of it with a half a gallon of water or a half a gallon of milk. No, take a slice, a small slice, and enjoy it. Savor it. Take the time, because your mind processes food within 15 minutes. If you can eat a small piece of cake in less than 15 minutes, I guarantee you'll want to have more, because that's how you gorge on things. So slow down, enjoy your food, chew it more, let it sit on your tongue longer so you can taste it. And then do what you can to make sure that you fight this virus by adding as much elements, minerals, magnesium, vitamin E, vitamin D3, zinc in your body if you need be. I know recently I guess, I'm going to say beat down, but I was contested with this whole concept of vitamin D3. People were saying that you should get your blood checked and what have you, and they were absolutely right. You should get evaluated, get your hemoglobin checked, your blood checked, have a full diagnostics about your system and what your body's being depleted of, what your body functions off, and if there's something that you need, get a supplement for it or find a natural way of getting it. There's a lot of supplementation, natural supplementation like fruits and vegetables and herbs that are available out there that can supply exactly what you need, even a better dose of it, more condensed dose of it. So these are things that you should consider. As we move forward, remember your health is your responsibility, but if your health can impact the others, it is our obligation to make sure we contain any threat to lives and preserve the lives that we love. So, what is it? So, as we move forward, that's what we have to consider as far as COVID-19. Now, another discussion talking about COVID-19 is recently I saw some reports being had. I think it's BBC made a report to suggest that scientists in Israel have possibly found the cure for COVID-19, SARS-CoV-19. I don't know what stages this information is, because I saw a blurb and I saw one or two lines. It was still developing. But scientists are claiming that they may have found the solution to COVID-19, the actual cure of SARS-CoV-19. That would be amazing. But also I pose this question. If they found the cure for SARS-CoV-19, that means they found a foundational cure to eradicate all SARS, all of the COVIDs that may have existed throughout time. And it's something to consider, because on the Lysol can, it says COVID. It says SARS. I forget the exact term. I need to pull out the Lysol can, but you'll see on it. And for years, you've seen that as being one of the things that the spray can help kill the germs or the viruses that come through that. If they've been having that element available or been identified for years on this can, that means this illness or the vessel that carries this death or potential harm has been around for so long that we're finally getting to a point where possibly there's a solution. So whatever we can, let's put all our good energy and hopeful energy into that, and we'll push forward and see what we can to find the solution, because it'd be a really awesome thing if we could find a solution for this. Because I know what I miss the days when I was able to go to the movies and not worrying about anything else but finding a good place to sit right in the space that you need, instead of worrying whether some guy 2 rows up may have coughed and sneezed a deadly virus on me. So it also would be nice to be able to travel. Just recently, my son and I took the plunge with an essence of, or the consensus. I told him, I said, one of the main reasons I wanted to make sure that vaccination was something we accomplished as a family is because travel is something that we enjoy to do like a family. I'm sorry, forgive me. But in the essence of traveling, it's extremely important that you're prepared to travel. And as we see moving forward, there's going to be a lot of requisites being made of all the public to suggest that in order for you to be able to travel, you have to be fully vaccinated with proof of vaccination. And or if you're not fully vaccinated, you have to be willing to be tested in an arduous way. And also being put in quarantine for an extraordinary amount of time. If you are like us, we travel within a certain amount of time because that's all we can afford. For us to go somewhere, say in essence, if we have to go to Puerto Rico and we're told that once we land, we have to quarantine for 14 days there, that basically means our trip is gone. We have no other trip. There's nothing to enjoy from that trip. So it's a big waste of money and time. So it eliminates that opportunity for us. But if we already covered the requisite of being part of the of getting whatever it is required of us, then we can enjoy the rest of the trip. I don't know why it's not blinking. Oh, you know what, the sound. What's up, brother Adrian? How are you?
What's going on, Mo? Not bad yourself?
Good evening to you. How you feeling?
Not bad yourself? Not bad, man. Like I always said, any day above ground is a good day, you know?
Indeed.
And this I don't know what I sent a text out earlier because I may have misread something on on the Facebook page or something. So, may have gotten a little discombobulated there.
It's all good, man. It's the way information is. This week has been very filled with a lot of stuff going on our side. Of course, my mother-in-law, my Umi-in-law, is struggling and fighting through her own health issues.
Yeah, that's what I kind of
Yeah, she's on. She came on tonight. So Nick, we still in here in the fight with you. So we're gonna continue fighting.
For sure.
But
nothing but love and prayers, man. That's what it's about.
Thank you. I appreciate that, but and also we've found out that our elder New Norm family member, aka my Umi-in-law, my Baba-in-law or father-in-law, June, has also passed. So he passed.
Okay, that's probably what I probably saw then.
Yeah, so it's unfortunate he passed away. So as we're putting all our efforts to make sure that we try to find solutions and bring some comfort to my mother-in-law and trying to reason and find just reason and compassion, especially for my wife during her loss. And, just adjustment. You know how life is, man. It throws curveballs, but it depends on how we deal.
Back in the olden days, they said when, a loved one or, parent passed away, they just, move on to the other side to, to look down on us. You know what I'm saying? To oversee us. They're your guardian angels,
Exactly. That's how I feel.
That's the bright way in looking at it. That's the bright side of looking at it.
Yeah, man. That's how I feel about it. That's how I feel about it because there's no other way to think about it, man. In the way I was raised, there's no other way to think about it because there's another place. When we leave this earth, we're going to another place, regardless of what you call it. We're going to another place. And if they loved you on this plane, I guarantee that love still continues into the next realm.
Well, here goes a little biblical scripture for you. It says to be absent in the body is to be present with the Lord, and that's what I've always believed also.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So I was just sitting there bugging, not necessarily bugging, but just accepting for what it is. I'm sitting there with my son and a lady, we're sitting there waiting for the process, paperwork and that stuff. And a lady starts calling to me. She just started talking to me about God. So I'm open. I'm always open to a conversation about God and what's good and showing, sharing the gospel based on my opinion to help motivate people and keep people in the best light. And it's awesome how I'm placed in a situation where I'm able to help keep the light in people and others. And I'm always appreciative, like Renee Boyd had sent the condolences of the people like yourselves and everything, keeping the light in me bright. So I'm continuing the light in others.
We're all family, man. That's what it's all about. It's a family unit. Each one teach one, but at the same time we have to reach one. You know what I'm saying? And that helps us keep going. That's what it's about.
Right.
A lot of people have motivated me many, many times over.
Right.
So we have to have each other's back. As they say in the army or in the military, you got to have my six.
Okay, that's a new one.
You got to have my six.
Yeah, it's very true. Very true.
That means you got my back.
Yeah. So, other than that, that's what's going on my side. What's going on with you, man?
Keep myself busy. Have no other words. You know what I'm saying? And no other words to express what I do. Just keep myself busy, man.
Yeah, I figured that.
Yeah.
Have you heard anything from Mr. Logan? I thought I would hear about how the successes have been developed.
He called me, I think, early last week sometime.
Mm-hmm.
But after that, I haven't heard anything, about him. He's still trying to put some moves together with his property in Philly.
Okay.
Him and his son. So they're still working on those things, on those dynamics.
Okay. Well, our fellow New Norm family member, Mr. Rassman, Mark, him and his team are on the way going to Louisiana.
Okay.
To help people rebuild lives in the bayou.
Yeah. So they need it, man. They need all the prayer, help, money, and everything that because those islands were, totally obliterated. Totally.
Yeah. That whole region really suffered again. And oddly enough, there's so much discussion now about more and more that's going on. Oh God. We have.
He's just stuffed in the middle of his senses. Oh God!
I just saw this. Remember the guy who the
yeah, Bob Dabalina.
Yeah, that guy.
So Bob Dabalina.
I'm always open to people, whatever they're saying. I try not to, whatever he says about that. Okay, I hear you. Whatever the situation is, that's your opinion. Cool.
It's all good.
Yeah, exactly.
Peace. Peace.
Exactly. But there's a lot of discussion now about Larry. Larry's starting to develop in the ocean right now. The hurricane they're talking about, it's at 79 plus miles an hour. And it's starting to develop. So it's a concern because not only is the potential going into the Gulf and causing more damage there or the Houston area, Texas area, if that wind stream that's coming about that's affecting Central America right now builds some strength on that side, it'll push it up and then it'll head in our direction.
Yeah, no doubt.
So if it builds it up and if it
goes another one out there,
Larry, there's 3 more.
What's up with that family, man? I don't know.
I don't know. But
Ida, and now we got Larry coming up. Who's the next one? Junebug? I don't know, man. Talk to me.
Yeah, it's always those names and everything. Last year we went through the entire alphabet and they had to go through the Roman letters after that.
Yeah, exactly. They step into the Greek lettering and stuff.
Yeah.
The Alpha, Omega, and all that kind of fancy stuff.
Yeah. I'm going to show on the screen what we're talking about as far as the Larry and his potential.
Yeah, because Ida was a class act, man. I'm telling you. Seven freaking tornadoes. I mean, that girl had some wind with her, boy. She had attitude. Not even Katrina did that many tornadoes, or even Sandy didn't do any tornadoes. This joker was doing tornadoes and floods.
Everything. Yeah, you saw how Ben Salem saw tornadoes. But this is where Larry is sitting right now, right? In the mid-ocean, just coming off the great African coast. It's this smack in the middle. Right now, it's at 80, it's sped up. It's at 85 knots, 100 miles per hour wind, right? So it's moving. It's fast, but it's moving slowly. It's moving slowly, and it's moving west northwest. So if it's moving west and northwest, that means it can curve over and hit us. It'll go over in this area. But this other depression that's going, the disturbance, potentially has an impact on this, and this is right off the coast of Central America, Mexico, the greater Panama area. They're affecting right now. This disturbance right now is only a small percentage of cyclone, but it has the potential of growing. The formation is growing with time goes. It's only 30% for a 5-day outlook, but within 4 or 5 days, it'll impact Larry. And if it's enough of a nudge, it'll come up the coast and not directly into.
If you go all the way down on the very bottom, you'll see Trinidad all the way on the bottom there.
Yeah.
Right on the bottom there. A lot of these storms comes off the coast of Africa, then it hooks the turn. You know, you have the Lesser Antilles and the Greater Antilles. You have the Windward Islands and the Leeward Islands also within that area. So
Yep.
you have the Windward Islands like Jamaica and all of that area curving upwards. So when these things come off the coast, what we would normally get in Trinidad is a lot of flooding
Right.
because we're in a low-lying area particularly. But for the most part, so something like that would actually create a lot of flooding in Trinidad and Tobago.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but once it gets up to like Jamaica, then it actually starts, taking off a few islands,
Yeah.
Jamaica, Haiti, and it starts going all the way on up. DR, Puerto Rico, it starts whipping up because those guys are in the Windward Islands.
Right. All in this area, right? This
Yeah,
area.
that's Trinidad all the way down there. And you see
Yep.
where this, look at the red dot off the top. See, so when it makes that curvature, it starts going upwards.
Yep. And it pulls
So
everything
normally
out.
it would start like around Barbados. And then it was because the water this time of year is beautiful, it's warm, it's sunny. Everybody wants to go on vacation. This is it right here, but this is the hurricane season.
Yeah. So this is what we're looking at right now. This sucker's pretty big too. They're talking about right now as of 5 o'clock. This is advisory number 13, 85 knots at 100 miles an hour wind in the middle of the ocean. It's pretty big, has the potential of growing larger. So it's something that we have to really consider because
Hey, maybe you could do like what Donald Trump says. You fly into it and drop a bomb inside of it. He says you fly over it and drop a bomb inside of that bad boy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
To decrease the pressure. It might spit it out and throw it back at you.
Oddly enough, that's funny, right? But the reality is that there is some science to suggest that there has been small implosions or created in super massive developments to do stuff to break it apart, and usually it has to do with snowfall. When there's large amounts of torrential snow that builds up, they sometimes get in the atmosphere and blow it up a little, so it doesn't become so impactful where people's lives can crash. So,
well, see, in actuality, when you have a storm, these things actually flow over. They're clouds that's actually flowing over the water. So it picks up all of the vapors from the warm water. And that's what actually builds up, the barometric pressure within that hurricane.
Right. So we'll see how it goes, man. But I tell you what, it's something to consider, the way things are going. You see the videos of the subway system in New York City?
Yeah, it looks like a car wash. That's probably the first time in history those trains have ever been washed.
I know it's going to be clean as hell in about 2
It's going to be clean as hell, I'm telling you. Even the rats were swimming.
They were on little boats, mini boats everywhere, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Did you see that guy I posted online? He was on top of a bridge, in Philly, and he was diving off backwards in the whole 9 yards into that water.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, you got to go back to my Facebook page. I posted it on. Did this joker, get up on top of the bridge, and he will do a backflip into the water that's underneath, under the bridge. And I'm like, this guy's a lunatic.
You don't know what the hell you're jumping into.
You can hit a refrigerator. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Let alone cars, anything else like that.
Cars, exactly.
Massive amounts of water in North Jersey. We saw rivers going down like Main Street, Newark. I think that was Newark, or was it Hillside? I forget where exactly it was, but I saw massive amounts of water because those areas, you have a lot of rivers up North Jersey.
Exactly. That's what happened. They have a lot of rivers. The Hudson River and the whole 9 yards. Then you have the Schuylkill River in Philadelphia. So it pushed a substantial amount of water into these rivers and back it up.
It's something to have that much water, and people really weren't ready to deal with it. That's the funny thing about it. It's like, in all honesty, I think we're all playing it in the same, the same problem.
People got stuck in the subway cars.
People were just not ready to deal with that much weather.
What do you think about the tornadoes? It looks like something out of Kansas.
That was crazy, but again, this was
Jersey. This is the problem here.
Ben Salem, and then I think the other part was Middlesex County. I think that's where it was.
Township, somewhere around there.
Some in that area. I think that's the case. But you saw the real tornadoes, Ben Salem, PA, and then what they got in Jersey was like the remnants of what it was, the bigger one. And I'm like, shit. Last time we had one here in Atlantic City, it was in the 70s where we had one that went through the entire city. So it's not impossible. It's just something that we don't see that common. But if people paid attention, Shit is real now.
Yeah, no shit. But at the same time, we're looking at the tornadoes of these guys, but then we have to worry about this ocean, and God forbid you have a freaking tsunami coming through this bad boy. Because that's on the back of my mind on a regular basis from time to time, dealing with this crazy weather.
Mm-hmm.
You have tectonic plates right here off the freaking Atlantic Ocean, and if you have a tsunami, well, I hope you live on the third floor.
At least the third floor.
Hey, boy, this is one time all the parking garages in Atlantic City would be jam packed.
Exactly. The only time it would be jam packed.
You go straight into the Golden Nugget parking lot. You go into all of the abandoned parking lot, Trump Plaza parking lot, it'd be like jam packed.
You know what? In all honesty, the way things are and the way they've been built, man, I don't know if there'd be a good, safe place to be. With that much water, they'd be blown away anyway.
Yeah, probably. Like I said, these are old structures, so it might be, not blown away, but swept away.
Yeah, yep.
Because that water is you see some of these people on TV with the water, taking out their basement wall and the whole 9 yards.
I'm scanning through some pictures. I'm trying to see which one would be the easiest ways that you can see some of the stuff, because I saw lots of individuals who took pictures of some of the atrocities that took place. And it's about $18 billion. Let me see if I can share this picture, but I always see the same shit everywhere, and it's a shame. You know how one time it used to be kind of easy going through looking for pictures that you see about this and that? Google just made everything difficult. You got to link through 15 different things. But anyway, there's so many different pictures of issues. And I know for certain in Louisiana, the levees, some of them were rebuilt, others were just reinforced. They weren't rebuilt. But they still wasn't good enough to really deal with, what was it, a Category 3 when it hit land? So it was disgusting, man. It was so damaging. If you think about how things have gone and how things are, you don't play games with stuff like this, because the potential damage is, here we go. See,
this one guy says Ida made Katrina seemed like a nice warm summer wind because Ida wasn't joking. That girl was for real.
Hell yeah. And we were talking about it earlier on. I was trying to emphasize how important it was that people paid attention to Ida, because Ida was talked about being massive, and it was built on more pressure, and that Canadian pressure that was pushing down helped to keep all that power together. And it's not to the extent that Larry's looking. It's not looking at the same conditions, but there is some nudging that other anomaly outside of Central America can potentially make that dangerous.
Yeah, Larry would be cruising through the Caribbean relatively soon,
Yes, at 100 miles an hour? Hell yeah.
He'd be cruising right through, picking up all that steam, boy.
Hell yeah, it'll be here Sunday to Monday. They said Tuesday at the latest, the way things are going. We'll see. But we just still got to pay attention. Hopefully, as the season continues, because our hurricane season has extended now into November. Before, it used to be from late August until mid-October. Now it's into November, almost into December. So time has changed different when it comes to anomalies and the way things have gone, and they're getting stronger. So we have to really be paying attention.
And a lot of people have to also know the evacuation route, because remember, if you have to evacuate the island or whatever the case may be, you have to know how to get the hell out of there. Yeah. Because that's what was happening with Katrina, not Katrina, but with Ida. Some of these people, once they started evacuating, they were running out of gas. I imagine you hop inside your car and you go about a mile or so, and then before you know it, you're out of gas, and you're trying to get the hell out of Dodge. And you're stuck like Chuck. So around this time, it's always best, to actually, keep your tank at least almost full because you don't know when you're going to have to bail.
Yeah, and even then, the concept of gasoline, like the prices are starting to shoot up of everything because of the different factors. Prices of food have shot up. Like I remember going to the store this past week, and I went looking for like what I normally do, was getting chicken-wise. Chicken that I usually get maybe used to be at one time $179 a pound, now to $289 a pound. Now I saw it almost $5 a pound, and I'm like, Wow, this is something that we consider.
A lot of stuff have gotten very, very expensive.
Yep.
Very
Gasoline,
expensive.
and gasoline is teetering. It's
Yeah.
still not as high as it has been, but there's a potential to really skyrocket really soon. So
I've
yeah.
seen places where regular unleaded is like $3.25 a gallon.
Yep. Yep. And we have to be on gas watch because we'll always see it because it'll always be a contest between Wawa, I forget the other name of the company, but it'd be Sunoco, Wawa, and I forget the other one. I think it was Getty at the time. They would compete to have the lowest prices, and people would let each other know through Gas Watch where to go get the best one. You'll find it, and that's going to be the case for a little while.
Well, this is what I do. I have Gas Buddy. So before I go gas up, pull up the app. Gas Buddy will tell you exactly where the lowest price on gas is, and that's where you go. This week, it seems like the Black Horse Pike gas is much cheaper than on the White Horse Pike. So I gas up on the Black Horse Pike. And then sometimes it's cheaper on the White Horse Pike than it is on the Black Horse Pike. So you just alternate.
Mm-hmm. I remember one time my wife kept asking, she said, but you're spending so much more money having to travel to go to those locations to get the gas. I'm like,
Gas
Buddy.
Gas Buddy. That's the reason why I look at Gas Buddy and you actually see the prices. And then it says, hey, every penny counts, to tell you the truth, when you're watching the pennies.
And there's the good thing about those type of applications. There's quite a few for each one because it reminded me of Parking Panda. Parking Panda helps me find parking. If I got to go somewhere like Washington, D.C., where everything is extremely high to park, paying $10, $15 more than the average person to park, something like Parking Panda would be helpful. Well, like you say, gas.
So there you go. You go with the Gas Buddy, and then when you get there, you use Parking Panda.
There we go.
You just learned a lot on this show tonight, folks.
Always, man. That's why we're here for you.
It's all about the knowledge. It's all about the knowledge.
That's all it is. So, other than that, man, how's your week been?
Like it says, staying occupied, keeping occupied. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I heard you talking earlier about, the mandates as far as the vaccine is concerned.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people I went to, I'm changing physicians right about now because, like I said, during this pandemic, a lot of people, one thing they fail to do is to get their regular health checkups.
Mm-hmm.
And you might be worried about COVID, but then you might end up with high blood pressure, diabetes, and you might die from one of those. You have to keep on top of your checkups and the whole 9 yards. So that's what I've been doing all week long. I've been going to doctor's appointments here and there, and make sure that I'm in good health. That's what it's about.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing, I went to my physician, the new physician I'm going to, and I'm talking to one of the intern nurses there, and she tells me, "Oh, I haven't been vaccinated. I've been vaccinated. I've been putting it off. I've been meaning to get it." I'm like, "Yeah, right. Why? Look at your eyebrows.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you've been putting it off, and you've been. I think I'm gonna go get it tomorrow. Yeah, you tell me that, but I don't know. And see, that's the thing, because when everybody takes their mask off, you don't know who's vaccinated or who's not. So it's risky business in essence. If you haven't been vaccinated and you're walking around people who may have COVID, especially with these Delta variants, you're really taking a health risk,
Mm-hmm.
a very unnecessary health. Well, it's just a card. You just found a card or something. Well, I got
it's written. You can see it. It's written. See that? Data.
Cards here. Is that card
Data.
like the black one?
Data.
It's the data.
See CDC on the back. See data.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Do it for, like there's the old saying, do it for the loved ones in your life. If you don't have to do it for you, do it for the loved ones in your life. That's all there is to it. Do it for the loved ones in your life. That's the way I look at it. I've nieces and nephews. Do it for the loved ones in your life because you care about them, and that's a good way in showing that you do care.
Yeah, I think I got a little more fuel underneath my fire when as my father-in-law passed away, and I kept thinking. I said, my wife needs to go to California where he lives at. Needs to at least see the area where he lived, walk in the area where he was, just to get that full feeling of closure and connect with her brother and sister over there. And I was like, shit, she's fully vaccinated. And I'm like, let me get my ass together so we can travel as a family and do what we need to do. It's important. And travel as moving forward is going to be mandated, man. Everybody's going to be fully vaccinated.
the Food and Drug Administration have already approved the Pfizer vaccine. So the insurance companies are going to say, hey, look, if you don't want to get it, that's your business. But if you get sick, don't send us the bill. Basically, is what the insurance companies say. Don't send us the bill because it was your choice to do it. The average individual stays between $20,000 and $75,000 to stay in the hospital with COVID, compared to a vaccine that's actually free right now.
Mm-hmm.
Do the math. I mean, it's very simple. Very simple math. It isn't hard. A lot of people are like, oh yeah, the problem is that they're going to put a microchip inside of you and all of this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Mo, I look at it, the water that a lot of people drink, you don't know what the hell is in that water, but if you was to go, they throw chlorine and all of this kind of stuff inside the water, but people cook with it, they drink with it, and they bathe in it anyway. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, it's nonsense.
I'm inclined to keep the same concept alone, keep the same energy. My thing is, if you can find 1,000,001 reasons why not to, find 1,000,001 reasons why to.
Exactly.
And then decipher and make your own best judgment. But ultimately, how your decisions impact others should weigh really heavy. If your loved ones depend on you, and then what you can do to help keep them intact and safe is to do something like this. Why not consider it?
We're all a community. We're all part of a community. So we have to keep that type of energy and that type of consideration. We're all part of a community.
Absolutely. The human race. Yep.
Yeah, the human race.
Yeah. I'm sitting there having a conversation with the pharmacist who applied the vaccine, and she's telling me the same thing. We're sitting there joking. Seemed like a collective of individuals talking about all the stuff that we heard about vaccines. Then you hear a non-vaxxer come in on this side, and I'm like, this is probably be the biggest topic that everyone is very passionate about. Yes. On both pros and cons. Mm-hmm. And it's extremely important that we pay attention and keep listening and keep talking. Never really skirt the facts. Don't ever try to condense the facts and try to push people from with your opinion here and there. Listen to everybody's point of view, because there might be some information that you're getting from somebody you didn't have yourself that can either confirm your beliefs, wanting to get it, and it makes you feel more comfortable in getting it, or if you feel like you don't need it and so on and so forth, at least it gives you understanding where you stand. So it's just good to listen, because not all information is widely spread the same way. We all process information differently. And because there's millions of different avenues of information, we don't know what's right and what isn't. But we know for certain we shouldn't be hurting our loved ones. Also.
That's right.
So
there was a situation I saw on the news, very sad, because what happened was this couple, what happened is the husband and wife ended up with COVID. Mm-hmm. The wife went into the hospital and she was being treated for COVID. But in the meantime, they said to the husband, well, since your case of COVID isn't that serious, we're just going to send you home and give you some meds, to get over COVID while you're at home, and we'll take care of your wife because she has a much serious case of COVID. Mm-hmm. So what happened is eventually she was released from the hospital. And when she went home, her husband passed away from COVID while she was in the hospital.
That's so sad.
It is. It definitely is. The thing about it is, don't wait until you get into the hospital to ask for a vaccine. Do it before you get there. That's the bottom line. Do it while you're in good health, because I would hate to see anybody fall victim to that. And I know, because my brother-in-law passed away from COVID.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I remember, I'm just watching the different cases here. And I'm trying to identify the information, identifying Israel. But there was one case where apparently a radio shock jock.
I saw that. Yeah.
Vaccine and so on and so forth. And he died. And then immediately, I think his significant other changed her mind immediately. It was like, he was so against it. He ended up dying from it. So it was like an example. And it's sad how people have to go to that extent.
Yeah. But what about some of those people that's actually taking that horse pill, that animal pill?
Stupid, man.
that's there's some really bizarre stuff right there. And I believe it's ibuprofen or something like that. You know that
And yeah, it's some horse.
yeah, Mectin is it's a horse pill.
It's
It's a dewormer for horses.
yeah. I remember the joke that was discussed about it. I was like, a lot of these Trumpsters and stuff like that always choose these medicines coming from
Vets, animal doctors, yeah.
veterinary doctors.
They said to hell with the regular doctors. We go to the vet.
Exactly.
Hey boy, you take that freaking horse to work when you wake up in the morning, sounding like Mr. Ed. You know, Mr. Ed was a horse back in the day. You remember him?
Oh yeah, it was crazy. The horse, of course.
The talking
right?
horse, exactly, Mr. Ed.
So it seems as I don't know if you had heard, but there was a lot of discussions about Israel may have found a vaccine, a cure for the vaccine. So now it's more so the discussion is whether it's valid or not. And there's a lot of debunking going on about it, but it seems like all the data suggesting that whatever Israel has found is still being tested. So it's to say that it doesn't eradicate the need to be vaccinated. Mm-hmm. However, in their phases of testing, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. So there's a potential of they're actually stumbling onto something that can cure COVID-19, which is a good thing, man. It's really a good thing. I was waiting for it.
Yeah, whatever company, because right now with the vaccine, you know, it does not kill COVID, obviously. You know, it just prevents you from getting a very bad case of COVID and end up in the ICU.
Right.
That's what it really does. You know, because there's a few people, you know, I was watching the show earlier. This one gentleman, you know, he ended up with COVID, but he's like, thank God, both him and his wife was vaccinated. So they pretty much, you know, made a really good recovery where they were able to talk about it. And that's important. Very important right there.
Wow. I'm looking at the things that they just talked about, different topics. It said 29 out of 30 moderate to serious COVID cases healed in Israel using this information or this new drug that they're talking about. They're saying that they've identified 3 existing drugs that can fight COVID-19. So they're doing some next level type of research in Israel, which that's cool.
Yeah, well, whatever company actually gets the cure for COVID, I mean, not prevent, but cure COVID, they're going to make the bank, they're going to make a substantial amount of money, no doubt.
Oh my God. Can you imagine? Well, this is playing devil's advocate too. Thinking about how this is and the thinking, just the way the concept, the war on drugs took place. There's more money to be made by the masses in the war than there is to the cure. Same Correct. Situation with cancer. There's so much money in the evaluation and the treatment of cancer and to cure cancer. Same thing as COVID-19. COVID-19 is a worldwide pandemic. The money that's being made of this pandemic, can it be equivalent to the cure? You know, and that's just where ethics and general morality is going to have to be stronger. It's going to have to be stronger than the need for greed money.
Yeah, exactly. Because, you know, you have the Republican Party, you have the Democratic Party. I don't mean to get into, you know, any type of political stuff, but with these guys, like I said, you know, they spend $2 trillion on the war in Afghanistan, $750 million on the training and military equipment for the army in Afghanistan. And when they went in there, they were fighting against the Taliban. And ultimately, the Taliban this week actually took over the whole country.
They said within hours. Their whole specter of understanding what was considering the Taliban could move in within a month. Not necessarily that they was moving in within hours. They were like, yeah, within a month they'll come over.
Yeah, because when you have like Biden says, when you have a freaking army and they don't even want to fight against the enemy, they just drop and give them everything and says, we out of here. Because what I think the propaganda that was actually flowing through these guys, from my own personal opinion, was probably the Taliban leaders or told those guys from the Afghan army, look what America has done to Iraq. And look at how they actually destroyed Iraq and just pulled out and left all of these people in a dire situation. Right. So if they did it to Iraq, they can do it to you also. So when they explain it to them that way, they're probably like, well, to hell with it. I'm out of here. You know, and that's probably, and so everybody just dropped their guns and said to hell with it. But now that the Taliban rules, these guys are going to be in for it now, because they're trying to round those soldiers up who was fighting against the Taliban, and ultimately the Taliban is going to to kill some of these guys.
I'll tell you what, that whole situation, you can tell there was more propaganda in this than ever before. You know what I mean? Because
Huge.
we were believing that it was going to be a Taliban 2.0. I'm like, who the hell would think about that?
Yeah,
You know, that was more,
Taliban. Whoever thought it would be a Taliban 2.0?
Oh my God. And it's sad because there was so many people. You know what it is? I think, in my opinion, when people become so desperate that they're willing to hear the lies in hopes that it could be true. And it just affords the predators a chance for them to win by keeping on funneling these lies, man. That's a shame.
Yeah. Well, like I said, and the thing about it is a lot of people back in March were told to leave their country and the U.S. will help them get out. These people drag their feet and they procrastinate. At the end of the day, everybody wants to hit the airport to get the hell out of Dodge.
Mm-hmm.
And especially when you have a situation now, the Taliban is telling these guys to turn around and go back home. And then Biden says, don't come to the airport because there's bombs and all this kind of stuff. So those people were like SOL from the get-go.
Here's the other part of the conspiracy. This is during the pandemic when people were closing countries. It was airline companies all over that said that we're not going to work. We're not going to provide services. So how the hell were people supposed to leave? Usually the military. And the military's like, no, we're not engaging in this stuff. So it's like, leave if you want to. You got to go you can only go out through that gate. We're not going to tell you that there's a moat there with alligators, but that's the only way you can get out. So it's a double-edged sword, man.
Yeah. I think they were doomed from the get-go, if you ask me. Mm-hmm. Just looking at the way how things were, unfolding.
Yeah. It looked like a setup. Like, we're going to try to make it look this way, so we'll have to come in and swoop on in and act like we're Superman. And it's like an intentional failure. So we can come in and try to fix it to look like superheroes.
But look at the hypocrisy at the same time, Mo. You look at $2 trillion that was spent on a war. Mm-hmm. It never benefited anyone here in the United States in the general public. None whatsoever. We spent $2 trillion or $2.750 trillion. It never benefited anyone here in the U.S. It didn't make you rich, me rich, or anyone else other than probably the guys that were selling the military hardware. Selling some of these other things. It made them a substantial amount of money. There's no doubt. And the technology involved.
Right.
They made out like a bandit.
Three companies that made an excessive amount of money: AstraZeneca, Halliburton, right, and the last one, if I'm not talking about, is Bank Suisse, because of all the finances were coming through.
Swiss Bank,
right, Bank Suisse, yeah. So these three companies made an exorbitant amount of money. One is because they were funneling all these terror deposits.
Correct, exactly,
right.
Yeah.
And the monies that were being arranged from the poppy fields that were sold that were benefiting AstraZeneca and their level of trying to produce synthetic marijuana, synthetic drugs, and synthetic pain relievers using poppies. All right, cool. And then lastly, you have, what was it?
On the Swiss?
And then, yeah, well, Bank Swiss, we talking about the money. And AstraZeneca, the health. And then the last one is Halliburton. I'm sorry. Halliburton, because of their constructs using, when they've all basically destroyed all these cities in Afghanistan, they were using these large trucks and everything to remove and replenish and redevelop. Who's the big ass international redevelopment company? Halliburton, one of them. Halliburton, Komatsu, and Caterpillar. Three huge companies that work on redeveloping land masses, moving large bits of debris in the whole nine. They're also part of the war. They're part of one of the reasons why. So we're talking about some huge companies. We ain't even going to talk about like Z, the XE company that used to be Black Ops, that works in contracts. They're contract killers that are American and other nations that are hired as security firms protecting the Halliburton workers and other stuff. They call themselves American contractors. I'm like, yeah, okay.
But look at it. They spent $2 trillion, 20 years, $2 trillion, on that war. But they can't. These guys can't get together and put together a bill for $2 trillion for the infrastructure of the United States, and especially after this hurricane just passed through. A lot of stuff was tore up, big time.
Oh my God!
Roads, bridges, the whole 9 yards. Because if the bridges have iron to it, and then you have water,
Oxidation.
you're going to have rust. And when you have rust, it's going to come down sooner or later because that's just the way it is. With oxygen and water combined together equals rust, you're going to have a problem down the road, player.
Oxidation system,
Exactly.
The long-term health risk that you have, molding and stuff like that, water damage, some of the toxins that are coming in through the water systems, the water beds, the land systems, the way things are going. There's so much going on.
The sewage, the whole 9 yards.
Everything. You know what's funny? Just thinking about that, my son was just telling me that a zoo in West Orange, a small zoo that West Orange manages, apparently all their animals fled the zoo during all this water. So there was wild animals.
Do you blame them?
I'm like, you could be outside the window.
I mean, sometimes animals have more sense than humans. I tell you. You know what I'm saying?
You look out your window on Vauxhall and South Orange and all that stuff.
But look, some of the people down south, they get up there, they hear it. Look at the difference. The animals fled the zoo. Some of the people down south says, you know something? I'm going to ride it out. You know what I'm saying? The animals fled. These people are like, I want to ride it out. Like this man and his wife. This says, we know we've been through a lot of hurricanes before. We're just going to hang out. We're not going to leave like everyone else. And they decided to hang out. So the water was still relatively high.
Yeah.
The lady's husband went outside to survey the property. He was eaten by an alligator.
Damn. Yep.
He was eaten by a freaking alligator.
There was a movie.
You don't want to walk in water with that shit.
Hell no. There was a movie by the name of Crawl that was that specific thing. It was alligators through this water, and it was during a hurricane, and how these alligators have full access of that whole entire community, and people and they were getting chopped up every 100 feet. There was somebody's there being drowned by an alligator. I was like, you dumbasses.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because when your house is flooded on the first floor, and and the water's coming in and out, and the door is open, alligator is going to be down on that freaking first floor or something, especially if you're living in the bayous and stuff, because the alligators that's in capture, they're not going to stay there. They're going to say, look, water everywhere. We got to roll. You know what I'm saying?
I like bet my territory.
It's the perfect escape. The water is higher than the fence. This is the perfect escape.
Oh, of course. You know that. I was like, that's another consideration when you have people migrating, like myself and my wife thinking about moving in other areas when we're ready to retire and stuff. That's another, different situation.
Something to keep in the back of your mind.
I'm gonna move in that area that if the water rises, do I have to worry about my dog being eaten by wildlife? You know what I mean?
That would be a good snack because alligators love those little dogs like snacks. An alligator can run at least 35 miles an hour.
And jump.
Yeah.
I showed a video to my son. He was buzzing.
They move about 35 miles an hour.
Yeah, we watched this one. It was in a house in California. No, not California. It was Florida. And the person was racing and chasing, whatever the situation, trying to run away from. They showed the speed of this gator. And then he jumped and leaped, like trying to leap over a gate. And he got pretty high. He couldn't get over it instantly, but he jumped pretty high on the gate. Got his ass up out of there. Just reminded you, no matter how high your gate is, it ain't going to be high enough. You better build that sucker underground so they can't crawl under, and then at least 10 feet.
Gators are relatively fast too, because this was online. Some of these stupid people got up there with a freaking drone, and they wanted to see what it looks like a close up of an alligator. So as soon as the drone get close to the alligator took that drone as a snack. All of a sudden, the drone has a battery inside of there, so the alligator started smoking. Because the battery touched the water and they always see all of this freaking smoke.
Hell yeah.
Somebody said the alligator part ended up with indigestion.
I've seen a video. Let me see if I can locate the video of a running gator. So I'm like, you people don't understand how fast the alligators are.
They might look slow, but they're quick.
Them suckers, especially when they're hungry.
You know what I'm saying? Especially if they're looking at a little dog or something like that. Those purse animals and stuff.
Yeah, no. They're like, nice.
That's a snack.
Running gator. Here we go. I'm gonna show this one video. People just got to be able to see it. So Where's it at? Hold up.
I see
Share.
my man Sandy out there tonight, huh?
Yeah, he was earlier on. I saw him say hello, or yo, and that was it. I thought he was going to come on.
Yeah.
This is a 1,000-pound gator. See if I can get it bigger. Give you an idea of a 1,000-pound gator. That's a pretty big boy.
Yeah, look at him.
He's on his hind legs.
Yeah.
They just raise up. That makes him
Yeah.
aerodynamic. And that tail wagging gives him a bit of burst to him, too.
Give him a little bit of flight.
Hell yeah, think about aerodynamic. And then that bite? What?
Yeah.
That's funny because, look, you see the dog. Somebody put the dog in the corner. Like, what was that? That was his meal that he was looking for? Wow. Man, please. They're very fast. Yep. Let me see.
Yeah, they're very fast, man. I'm telling you.
Oh, my God. This is like, every time somebody shows a video of something they don't need video. Look, he's hauling ass. Look.
Yeah.
And he's skimming through the top of water, so it makes it even faster.
Yeah. Those things could get around, man, big time.
Hell yeah. On mud.
But some of the Southerners, those guys like to go out and shoot those alligators and pull them in, you know, take them to different areas and get paid for it.
Let's see if I can find a video of the alligator jumping a fence. Yep, there we go.
The prospect of an alligator in your yard wasn't scary enough. Now this, apparently they can climb fences. A gator scaled the fence. I'm not kidding. At the Naval Air Station in Jacksonville, Florida over the weekend, a woman was driving by. Look, there's proof right there.
He's as tall as the friggin' fence.
One,
he was out.
It does a belly flop on the grass and then goes on its way. Officials with the air station said they don't plan to remove the alligator from the base unless it, quote, poses a danger to people.
Well, apparently, yeah.
If it can scale a fence?
So how do you keep it?
And they can scale the fence?
No.
All right, let's go to Krista Charlie now for a look ahead.
It's imminent danger right there.
You guys, all right.
That's crazy. But it just reminds you, you know, no matter how much you think you're safe, if you're talking about hungry creature, man, please.
Why aren't you the landlord?
They will find a
Yes,
way.
you. Why aren't you the landlord?
I don't know.
Every day you go to and from work and you love
All right, man. All right, enough with that. Anyway, but alligators are something not to be played with. And I'll tell you what.
Well, like it says, you know, you have to remember, down south, folks, there are alligators in those waters. So you have to be careful.
Anywhere throughout the Gulf, man. Texas,
Yeah.
Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Northern Florida,
Yeah.
Florida, every man.
Exactly.
I keep saying the same thing. Good thing that I don't mind eating gators, and I will skin the hell out of one. But I won't disrespect their territory. I know better.
Now you got to respect it, man. I'm telling you.
Yep. But that's funny how you see stuff. I've seen some pretty quick ones. Like I said, we went to Gatorland in Florida just to see the habitat and all stuff because you see some pretty big ones. You really don't realize we don't get a chance to see the big ones, the real big ones, because they're hard.
Gigantic ones.
Yeah, these monstrous ones are bigger than your car type.
Yeah, I saw one like in the Philippines when they actually had a freaking gator or something like that out there. This bad boy was huge. It was like the size of a freaking bus.
Hell yeah, on a trailer. I was like, this guy was swallowing people left and right on a trailer. It's one of those things, man. You in the habitat of the world, you don't know how big some of these things going. I saw a video of a catfish, the largest catfish ever caught on tape. This guy caught it, and it was amazing how he threw a bait. He says, there's something in that. I don't know what it is. There's something there. So he threw this hook bait on it, and you saw it coming. And when it came out, it was as big as his boat, his kayak. It was as big as his kayak. I said, damn, thought about that. Then I thought about that one time, a video. This guy was fishing off of like the edge of a bridge in Florida, in southern Florida. He said, watch this. And he threw he had a big giant hook. It was like I'm not going to say a tuna hook, but I forget it was a real big hook. It was about a 3 or 4 inch hook. And he had like 200-pound test. Some crazy, it was metal. on and fishing, and he put on half of a mackerel on a hook, threw it on there seconds. He came up with this grouper that could have swallowed him his whole body. That's how big that sucker was. A grouper. I was like, see, you never know what's in the water. You never know what's in the ocean. You never know what.
Yeah, because I've seen some humongous squids. Some of the squids are humongous.
The monster, the colossal squid. Yep.
Yeah.
All the scratches on the blue whales and sperm whales from fighting the colossals. Yeah, man. There's certain things you got to have certain respect.
Yeah, you got to respect, nature, man. No doubt.
You going into these areas, like I said, I love visiting the world. I love looking around the world. There's certain areas that's okay. My son's like, yo, Dad, what would you do if you ran into a bear? I said, first off, I'm not going to go in an area where bears live.
In Yosemite National Park, you're not going to go right up there for a cougar.
Unless I'm in the area specifically designated for tourists, surrounded by, the park rangers, I'm not going to be wandering out. I just won't, because I know my abilities and capabilities. I'm not going to tempt, because even though they're not preferring a big fat guy like me as a meal, I'm still posing a threat. Like, I would be out, and you see the funny ass videos how people interact with people. I say, look, it's just things you have to be conscious. God gave us this wonderful planet to live on, and we don't have to live on every square inch. We're sharing it with other beings, but respect their space.
Respect their gangster. Yeah. Respect their gangster. That's what you do.
Hell yeah, their habitats. The habitat where they live. I'm like, yo, you don't. Because if you mess up, man, you can end up in a bad situation. I remember. Did you watch the video of it was in Canada, and this guy was on a highway, and all of a sudden a moose came out, and he was walking down
the habitats.
The moose habitat where they live. I'm like, yo, you don't. Oh, all right, that's enough. I had to reboot Facebook. The Canadian moose. It was huge. Have you ever seen the video?
I don't believe. What is it about? A moose tackling a car or something like that?
No, it was just a giant moose walking down a highway, and whoever it was didn't realize how big this moose was. Giant moose on highway. Let's see if I can show the video real quick. It was huge. I never knew how big these damn moose were.
Try hitting one of them at night.
I was bugging. I said, look, good Lord. It was amazing, the size of this thing. I said, oh, Lord. I said, see what I'm saying? You never know.
If you're a New Jersey homeowner and you're still paying for electricity, then you could be missing out on free government assistance to go solar.
Let me show you this one commercial.
Look at this big fella here. Wow, Kalia, look at him. He's huge. Hey there, bud.
Look at the size of that damn moose.
He's taller than the vehicle.
It's huge. You can ride underneath it. The moose is so damn big and tall. You can ride underneath it.
I think you gotta respect this gangster, man. I'm telling you.
He's huge. He's the alpha male in his pack. Look at him antlers.
And the antlers, look at that.
There, eh, bud?
He's huge. I'm like, yo, you gotta respect him for it. But that's that moose. I mean, we see some amazing sized animals throughout this world, but that moose was something like, wow. I was like, oh Lord. But then you see.
Yeah, that was a big boy, man. I'm telling you.
Hell yeah, that's the one that can mess up your weekend in a minute.
Mess up your weekend or mess up your month, to tell you the truth.
Your whole life, if he upset with you. You imagine try to explain that to what's the guy on the commercial, the insurance commercial? And you see,
that was a big boy.
Have to explain that to Allstate. You know what had happened was I was on the highway and a moose came out and attacked me. They were like, yeah, all right, anyway, pay your insurance.
Yeah, exactly. Until you show them a picture of the moose.
But that's amazing.
Yeah, he's just strolling. He's taking an afternoon stroll, a nighttime stroll down the highway.
Mm-hmm. Hi, wifey.
Hello.
That worked, waving at people. But the size of these animals are something to be admired.
Yeah.
Like I said, I've seen some pretty big animals in my day, and there's certain things, like I told my son, you ain't gonna catch me in the middle of the ocean swimming. I'm just not. I respect the ocean. I respect the depth of the ocean and what could be under it. You're not going to catch me in the middle of the Amazon jungle trying to navigate just because it's cool. Hell no, I'm not. You're not going to catch me there. You're not going to catch me in the Congo thinking I'm a tough guy when I got silverbacks in the area. You're not going to catch me. I'm not going to be in the Sahara, taking a piss in the area where you have these African elephants and these amazing lions. I'm not going to do that. I have a little more respect for my life and the potential of losing it.
Yeah.
My son's talking about, I'm on Amazon.
Okay. I mean, when you're young, you can do a lot of things that's reckless, but when you get a little older, you know that time is short. Because that's just the way it is. Time is short. And you have to try to value your life rather than try to lose it in a risky way.
Just like snakes. Some people have a fear of snakes. I don't have a fear of snakes. I have a respect for snakes. You see anacondas and pythons and so on and so forth. If I see a python that can easily swallow me up, I'm not going to tease it and mess with it. If it come my way, he's going to end up a belt. But there's a level of respect. I'm just not going to do it. I'm not going to go in an area that that's their habitat. There's that atmosphere. You just don't go tempting fate. Just not. I'm not going to do that. Piranha. I'm not jumping in the water because I'm hot. I'm just not. It's not that. It's just
it reminds me of that guy. I can't remember his name. A few years ago, he died in the water. He used to have a show on TV all the time, and he passed away because he was stung by a stingray or something like that.
Oh yeah. The Australian guy.
Yeah, exactly.
He was so good. He got speared by hit in the heart by the stingrays. Yeah, it was sad. What about a kangaroo? My son told me, what about a kangaroo? Would I mess with a kangaroo? Nah, I ain't mess with a kangaroo. I mean,
kick the hell out of you like a football.
Slice you up. Hell yeah.
Kick the hell out of you.
I remember the one guy, I don't know if you watched the video where the guy was boxing, trying to protect his dog. He was boxing the kangaroo. Kangaroo was looking like, yo, did you just actually hit me? And then he stalked him.
Then look at the movie Kangaroo Jack. You remember that movie Kangaroo Jack?
Yeah. Then for 3 or 4 days, that kangaroo found where that guy lived and came up to his house looking in the window for 3 or 4 days. I was like, yo, I was ready for you.
Hey, Mo, what do you want in a rematch?
I would have put money on that kangaroo. Taking them hits left and right, like, oh, for real?
Get the hell out of you.
Because he had the dog in a grip and his legs were hitting him. The dog was screaming. I was like, see, stop being a smart ass. You can't train your dog to stay away from certain animals. Just like
I'm telling you got to train your pet to respect nature just as much as you do.
I saw one. I think it was either German Shepherd or was a Malamute, one of those big time wolf-like dogs. They were in Oregon, I think that's where it was, and they found a wolf. This was like a supersized, almost a dire wolf. It was huge. It was black. They said it was the biggest damn wolf they've seen. When the dog stood up and the wolf stood up to go attack the dog, it was like almost double the size of the dog. I was like, that's what you remind that dog. You got to punk out and get out of the way. Put your tail between your legs, haul ass, and get out of the way.
Put your tail between your legs, hit the door and bail. You got to bail out, Jack.
If you look at the video, the dog it would get chased away. Then he'd come back around and keep messing with him. I was like, either you brave or stupid or both. Yeah. We was watching videos like crazy as you can find. I know it just recently happened. I was like, you don't mess with it. Certain animals you just don't mess with.
Yeah, leave them alone, man.
Tempt fate. I ain't tempting fate.
Yeah, some people like to live on the edge. But sometimes when you live on the edge, you fall off the edge too. Remember that.
Oh, yeah. If your edge is more than 2 stories tall, that's gonna hurt.
Yeah. You want to live on the edge. Is nothing.
Mm-hmm.
If that's what whatever it is. That's where you like to live. Enjoy yourself.
Oh yeah, the lady said, the elderly lady. I think she was in Pennsylvania. She had an elderly chimpanzee that she lived in, and he went crazy and ripped her face out. She was like, "It's not his fault. It's not his fault." I was like, "True, because your dumbass shouldn't have had a chimpanzee as a pet."
Yeah, well, some of these people tend to smuggle a lot of these pets. Because I post one online also. It was a freaking cougar. Somebody had a freaking cougar as a pet. I posted on there. Well, then who the hell needs ADT? You don't need ADT when you got a damn cougar inside your freaking apartment.
Mm-hmm.
You got a cobra inside the apartment. What are you gonna need ADT for? Nobody's not coming up inside to steal anything belonging to you.
Exactly. I got something to show you. I want to check this out. Imagine if this happened to you, right? Wait. Imagine if this happened to you. You're sitting there looking at the lake, chilling, not bothering nobody. Here come Yogi, not worrying about you, and you frozen. You look, and they're both looking at the water like, damn, it looks like it's cold out. He didn't bother me.
Well, first of all, you have to imagine if that was me, because like it says, you know,
I am not messing with a bear.
Swimming in the waters of Alaska is just not on my dream list, my to-do list.
Right, it's not on the bucket list, right?
Yeah, hell no.
It's not on the bucket list. That's the funny
thing. No, not at all. Because it reminds me, you know, when some of those guys, you know, remember those guys with the tiger when they actually, those two guys from Vegas, I can't remember their names.
Oh yeah.
And one of them was mauled by one of the tigers, the band of tigers.
Yeah, badly. Yeah, I know you're talking about. They were both
Siegfried and Roy. Siegfried and Roy, yeah.
They're Austrian. Two Austrian. Look, he just shit his pants. The bear left because of the smell of the shit. He just shit his pants. Oh, see, that's the problem. See where he was? If it shows the end of the video because he was someplace he shouldn't have been. That's the problem.
Exactly.
See, that's what makes a dumbass happens. When you're in an area of territory where you have lots of bears thinking, well, they ain't gonna know me. They're not gonna see me.
Well,
yeah, all right.
And a serious error in judgment many times over.
Hell yeah. I ain't messing around with bears. Like I said, bears are beautiful, man. My son's always like, I would roll around with a bear. Yeah, okay.
But what about some of those people when, you know, I think this week there was a lady that actually jumped into one of those enclosures by, I think it was a tiger or whatever the case may be. You know, these people jump over the damn fence of the zoo because they want to pet a particular animal or whatever the case may be. It's ridiculous. They're behind there for a reason.
Mm-hmm. There you go. Look at this.
Yeah.
You're in the lion's den.
Literally. Literally.
He's looking at both of them like the skinny guy ain't got no meat. He's
yeah, like, nah. Exactly. He's looking at the other one. He's like, you look kind of beefy to me.
He ain't got no meat. Look at him. He's getting nervous. And the other guy's like, yeah, I'm big. I got it. I'm dominant. Yeah, all right. And the female right there, yo, there's some bold ass people. MGM in Las Vegas. Look, that's his ass. Yeah. He's done. He's done.
Yeah, the other one, yeah.
Look, she's getting on him for attacking him.
Exactly.
Look, he's like, I got him.
Exactly. He takes the beefy guy.
Nah, he bought the little guy. The beefy guy's like,
well, he can crush him a little better. He sized him up because he still keep coming after him.
Look, the female's like, you better stop. You're going to mess up our meal. You better stop. Yeah, he's still tempting him. But look, he's like, I'm out. She's like, you got to
respect these animals, man. Just leave them alone.
Hell yeah. Look how beautiful that gorgeous animal. That'd be me on the outside talking about, damn, y'all some dumbasses. Huge. He's very dominant, but this female's no joke too. She was like, yo, back up. You're messing up my meal. See, that's the stuff you got to be concerned about. See, that's what I say about humans. Sometimes, you know, we're a little too big on our britches, man. We believe we can do anything. Nah, there's certain things you just should not do.
Yeah, leave it alone, man. Leave well enough alone.
But I run across shit that I sit up there and laugh all the time. I said the stupid things that people do.
Yeah, but there's a price for everything. Remember that. There's a price to pay for everything in life.
Hell yeah. And this is one creature you should never, ever turn your back on. Ever. They're known to wait for the minute you turn your back. They're known. Look, a beautiful creature. Looks like it's his own habitat. Now the people in Saudi Arabia, right? Those guys love to like have lions as personal.
Yeah, exotic animals.
Yo, look, he's waiting. He's like, yeah.
Yeah.
That ass is mine. He's waiting. He's
You
like,
ready to pounce
yeah,
on
that
him?
ass is mine. Yep. Mm-hmm. There you
You
go.
get ready to pounce on him.
There you go. See, that's the first thing you did.
There it is. Yeah.
Don't talk milk. Yep. You laughing? Oh, you laughing? You laughing?
Those guys just like to tempt fate, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah. Look, you
Not
laughing?
bright at all.
Yeah, you dumbass. Now he came out with a scar that's going to take about 500 stitches to try to put together. Like, you laughing? That's okay.
Like I always say, you can't teach stupid, man. That's it.
True that. But I'll tell you what, if it wasn't for stupid, there'd be a lot of less videos to watch.
That's for sure. It becomes entertainment after a while.
Hell yeah. Oh, remember we talked about an alligator? An alligator attacking a boat, kayak, charging it. I said, yep. See, you in a boat, you're thinking, okay, you're in a kayak. It don't take a second for them to tilt you over. Very beautiful thing. Would I be out there like that? Nope. You catch me in a flat bottom boat or one of those big turbine boats and wind boats.
Man, you got to put some distance in between you and them, man. I'm telling you.
Hell yeah. And a 12 gauge shotgun in my hand. Beautiful territory, right? You ain't thinking about nothing. It's okay. All of a sudden, dun, dun, dun. He's in the quiet. They look like they ain't had no meals in a while. This is like, look. Yeah, you on the water.
Yeah, it's dinner time.
He just knocked you over. Yeah, dumbass.
It's dinner time, then comes Miller time for the alligator.
Mm-hmm. Yep. They like pink meat. Mm-hmm. He's sweating. Dumbass. Anyway. But that's enough with that. That's the shit that you got to be concerned about. That's really crazy. But we watch videos all the time, and
that's craziness on a half shell. This is craziness on a half shell.
Yeah, man. I've seen some crazy shit too, man. Because I said certain things you just don't mess with, man, and that's one of them. Just like certain dogs you don't mess with. I've seen some monsters. I said, and that's the only thing that really holds me back from getting one of these big giant dogs. Is I like a moderate dog. You know, I like a dog that it's a homebred. The ones you can lay over, you can take care of, but still, you know, will play the role as protector if need be in a house.
Yeah, I have a niece that loves those big dogs, man. I'm telling you. She like the bigger the dog, the more the love. And when she get those bad boys and they grow up like a serious, huge pit bull or something like that,
God.
She loves those animals. So, needless to say, I don't pay her too many visits.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
$453,000.
Oh, I gotta see this one. It's a new video talking about a zoo
Without
in the park, Lincoln Park Zoo. Lion climbing the moat.
Absolutely.
He climbs the moat.
I'm about to prove it to you.
That will scare the hell out of whoever's visiting, watching him. He's plotting on climbing the moat. He's looking. He's like, I can make it. I can do it. I'm out of this piece. I'm out. I'm gonna do it. I'm tired of it.
Nice running leap.
They're trying to make me a vegetarian. Oh, yep, the plant right there, the tree. Oh,
it is with ease.
He's out.
So he sized it up.
Yeah, man. You just don't tempt that shit. That's all, point blank. You don't tempt that stuff.
I was looking at a video also online where it says Lincoln Drive in Philadelphia was like flooded like crazy yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I put a comment. That's no longer Lincoln Drive. It's Lincoln Lake. Because it's no longer a drive. You can't drive through all of that water. It's a lake now.
Flooded subway. There we go.
A flash flooding siege in the Northeast. States of emergency in New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. Multiple deaths reported as the remnants of Ida merged with the front to produce chaos.
This is not mine. This is
For the
Jeff.
first
Good Morning
time in
America,
recorded
ABC
history,
Network.
the National Weather
Just to
Service
show on the
issuing
flood
a
part.
flash flood emergency for all 5 boroughs of New York City.
All 5 boroughs. Check that out.
Look at the water rushing.
Yeah, look at that.
It's going to be clean as hell after they're done. Yep.
No kidding. They might even wash away COVID. What do you think?
Yeah, right. You know what the crazy part? There were still people waiting for the subway. They weren't leaving.
So there's people on the chairs and stuff in the subway.
Hell
On
yeah.
the bus, I mean. Yeah.
Oh my God. Look at it. That's crazy.
You see, that's the time that you end up in next time around. You know where it's going to flood, Mo? You get yourself jet skis. Put it in the backyard. You know? So when this comes down next time, you can get around.
At least that. Jet skis, a flat bottom boat. You know, now they have blow-up kayaks. I saw one guy, they had showed a video excerpts of him outside of Louisiana. He had that. He had those airboat kayaks because he was getting gasoline. Because, you know, when they don't have no electricity and like that, and they still got to eat and have some warmth at night type deal, they had gasoline and stuff, man. It was.
Hey, but check this out. Here goes a good concept right here. That'd be a great night for DoorDash if you have a jet ski. You actually deliver. You can't beat that. Exactly. You know,
my place is open.
You hop on a jet ski and you do a DoorDash that night. You know what I'm saying? Because then everybody, you know, they can't go anywhere. You know, they can't go anywhere. So that's a hell of a concept.
You go next business venture.
Hello.
Right.
You know, everybody comes to me with different ideas. You know, something might come up with ideas of my own. This friend of mine was telling me earlier today, he owns a store. And he's like, Adrian, here goes a good concept. A lot of people don't know how to get rid of what they call e-waste. You know, like old computers and cell phones and all that stuff. Yeah, and he's like, there's no one around here that actually does that in this entire area. I says, wow, I wasn't familiar with that.
E-waste, and there's a lot of cadmium, and there's raw precious metals.
Yeah, inside of those computers, correct.
And cell phones and everything. This is the animal escapes. Let's see. All right, man.
You see, you won't see me hugging none of that unless it's a stuffed animal. If it ain't stuffed, it ain't with me.
The reason people end up in zoo enclosures.
That chick right there.
Sometimes people willingly jump in.
Yeah.
Levin Merritt. As encounters with great apes go, Harambe wasn't the first child falling into a gorilla enclosure. It happened at the Gorilla Wildlife Park
was
in
actually
Jersey
trying to
Channel
save or
Islands
protect
in the
the
UK,
child, man.
when 5-year-old Levin Merritt somehow fell into the zoo's gorilla enclosure, falling far enough that he lost consciousness
he was
when
hurt.
he hit the ground. The zoo staff grew concerned when the boy started visibly bleeding as well, and even more so when the child was approached by a giant silverback male named Jambo. Instead of grabbing the child and dragging him around, Jambo shocked the onlookers by instead standing his ground next to the boy, keeping the other gorillas away, stroking his back, all while Levin regained his consciousness. When Levin woke up, his crying scared Jambo off, and the zoo staff were able to retrieve him and bring him to safety. Beijing Zoo, 2009.
The panda.
Pandas.
That kid is going to be Tarzan, I'm telling you.
They're absolutely adorable.
That's another one.
That cuteness draws in many crazy panda fans for Juju, a panda at the Beijing Zoo. People come from all over to see him, and more than a few have snuck into his enclosure. What they seem to forget about, though, is that pandas are still bears with the potential to be wild and vicious. Fluffy and adorable otherwise. Juju has bitten several curious would-be bear enthusiasts who've snuck into his enclosure, but that doesn't stop people from doing it. In 2009, a man walked up to Juju, trying to get a close and personal selfie with him. Juju, apparently camera shy, took offense to that, and he showed it by taking a big bite out of the guy's leg before the keepers could drive Juju away. Please, don't take selfies with the animals. It's just common sense. Pittsburgh Zoo.
Yeah,
that's sick, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get the point on that one, that's for sure.
Well, no. But I'll tell you what, there's some interesting shit. How people do stuff. I'm like, look, man, I have certain respect and appreciation for animals, and I'll let a zookeeper do what they need to do. That's his job. But me, if I'm at a zoo, and if I'm on the other side of a moat, and if I'm looking at a lion, and the lion's looking, navigating in his mind whether he can make it or not, I'm not going to be there to see whether he's going to try to jump and get me. I'm going to be up about a quarter mile away, asking questions. Did he jump? I'm not going to be there. I'm just not going to.
Well, all it don't matter is just a common sense situation, but common sense isn't always common, and people tend to try to test faith, and sometimes it backfires.
Yep.
They want to take pictures with these animals, whatever the case may be. It's ridiculous. If you want to take a real picture, why don't you take a picture of the animal and put it on your shoulder and make it look like it's right next to you? You going to see a video archives or what?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm hearing my patio doors open, and I'm hearing something that sounds like gunshots. So I didn't know if that's what it was.
Or another restless night? Hopefully not.
I'm hoping it's not that. It's just fireworks. There's local stores that still sell fireworks, man.
Yeah, I saw that. I think I saw it inside of CVS one time.
Still selling fireworks. I'm like, for what? So the kids can blow up their hands? They don't need to celebrate that way. It's stupid. Oh, yeah, the grill enclosure. Anyway, what stupid people do. Oh, yeah. Renee says, I have cats. That's enough. Yeah, that's true.
I feel you. I got you on that one.
Yeah. Cats, to me, are stupid. They're just so funny. I love stupid cats because they just do the dumbest things all the time. Dogs too. Dogs are just as dumb, but just stupid cats. Either they're trying to jump on something that they shouldn't be jumping on, or they're trying to jump in a box.
They were in the wild. We just domesticated a lot of these animals.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like I said, they're still animals. So you have to respect it, and either way you look at it.
Mm-hmm. There's this one cat that I told I'm not a cat person because I don't trust cats. I like cats. They're pretty. You know what I mean? There's beautiful cats and they're loyal to a certain extent. And they're so, I would say, low tech. You don't have to do
they're low maintenance.
Yeah, they really, you don't have to do a whole lot. I'm hands-on. I like a animal that sits on my lap, play around, joke around, whatever the situation. Be happy as hell to see you when you come home, that type of deal. Those are my kind of animals. But I said there's one cat I would get. I think it's called is it a calico or something? It's one of the biggest damn cats. It's like one of those cats that is bigger than dogs. I said I would get one of those because those are the ones that you come in the house, they're jumping on you because they're waiting to jump on you. The interaction that a cat will normally do. It'd be fun with something that big until they get upset. When they get upset, that's a different story. But that's it.
In America, you have some people who are snakes. Love their snakes, the turtles, the cats, the dogs, So it all depends on your person, It says some of us match up with our personalities with the animals that we choose,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because, like cats are very low maintenance type of animals. Very low maintenance.
Yeah. Most of the time.
Well, I have two of them, so.
Do you? You're a cat person?
Yeah, I have two.
I wouldn't, yes, I would. It makes sense.
I'm very low profile, easy to maintain the whole 9 yards,
Yeah. It makes sense. I've had all kinds of animals growing up. We basically had a zoo at one time. I remember one time we had, I think it was 16 hamsters. We had 2 turtles, including a tortoise. We had 6 dogs. We had 3 cats. How that happened, I don't know. Everybody was living harmoniously. We had 3 parrots. We had fish.
Wow.
My dad had a python. All these animals in the same house at the same time. I had a zoo. And we're poor, growing up in Inlet, and we all lived in the same, and everybody was there. We had a habitat. And I think the last thing that we had gotten that my mom freaked out about outside of the python was a type of lizard. I forget what it was. It might have been a monitor lizard, but it was small. And the monitor lizard and the snake were going at each other. I was like, why the hell would you even allow them to be in the same area?
Exactly.
But that was it. But I've had all kinds of shit. I remember I had my sister coming down with a Irish setter, beautiful giant dog, beautiful dogs like that. I've had small little runt animals like the dog I have now, Chihuahua. Puerto Rico, my dad gave me horses, so I've had horses. So I've had all kinds of shit. Snakes.
Yeah, I like fishes also. Beautiful aquarium and stuff.
Yeah,
I love those things.
Yep, I've had. I think the most exotic fish I've had outside of lionfish. I've had a lot of freshwater fish, a lot of tangs. I've had a silver dollar.
Yeah, I've had a few of those. Oscar, silver dollar.
Yeah, Oscar.
Goldfish, fighter fish.
Parrotfish. We didn't. It's funny as hell. Learning about these fish was something interesting. My son, we had got him a crayfish one time, right? Because it was cool in the tank. We thought something different. Oh, we didn't know not to have multiple crayfish in the same tank. They're ravenous. They eat each other. So we'll wake up one day and all of a sudden, instead of having 5, it's 2. One's missing a claw. Like, what the fuck happened? What happened? Get the next day and the last one's available. He looks like he's like cleaning his jaws. Like, where's the other ones? So we called him Crunch. Well, one crayfish was Crunch. We said, okay, cool. We've seen tanks before where you see shrimp. They look like little mini lobsters in the same tank and they eat algae with the other fish, and a lot of fish don't bother them. Oh, big mistake when I bought a parrotfish. Didn't know it was a parrotfish. I thought it was a big goldfish, the big bulgy goldfish. Didn't know it was a parrotfish until the fish got in the tank. Oh, it was over for Crunch. It was a battle of the battle of who's the fitness. It was Crunch versus the fish. I didn't know the parrotfishes love to eat crayfish. And this crayfish was already big and juicy because he was eating all the rest of them. He was sitting in the wild. Oh, when the parrotfish got in that tank, it was the battle. Because the Crunch would grab him with the pincher, and all of a sudden, and the parrotfish is steady. It was done. Maybe 15 seconds. That was the end of Crunch. And the parrotfish was like, good. Like eating with no problem. He was like, oh, snap. It was the learning experience for us. Like, not all tanks are made to be made. Beautiful.
Yeah. I like watching that show on National Geographic. It's called Tanks. I don't know if you've ever seen it, where these guys actually make, aquariums for celebrities.
Are you talking about the one from Vegas?
Yeah.
The brothers, the one that's the head
guy. Exactly, the family, yeah.
Yeah, we watched a lot of them. There was a lot of beautiful tanks, man.
Really cool. They really know to put a lot of aquariums together. That's really good business right there.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I've always said if I had the money to be able to afford it and everything, I'd build a nice big ass tank. And one of the things I would love to have is jellyfish. I ran into someone's house. I can't recall where it was. It was just in passing. Person had a jellyfish tank. It was the most beautiful, tranquil tank I've ever seen in my life. It was beautiful. They didn't have like normal blue light. It was like a purplish incandescent light.
Right, like a purple hue.
It was gorgeous, man. It was so quiet, and it was like the ones that you can look at. It's like therapy. And I said I would have, if I can build another tank, it would be one tank with the jellyfish, and in another tank I would have small sharks. I forget what they call it. They're black and white, like tiger sharks, but they're not, because they're so beautiful. And then you can have a vibrant lobster inside. They don't bother them. And you have some beautiful tanks. But I love that. When we were growing up, remember when Nemo, the Disney movie, when you saw the what's the name of the damn orange, white, and black fish? They're called.
I know. I'm looking at it in my mind, but I can't.
Yeah, I can't remember. Anyway, when we saw the tank, when Dory and all this, we immediately had to get those fish. So one tank we had bought maybe 2 or 3 of those fish and had the other thing. We had similar to it. I had a natural coral, a nice beautiful coral that was into it. Just the water, the salination, we couldn't keep it to the levels that we need to. This, if you can't mess with saltwater fish unless you're ready to deal with a saltwater tank type deal. I was good with freshwater.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I've had recently. I think the last animal I had in the tank was 2 red ear sliders, or 3 at one time. The turtles. One we called Tiny. My son had named him Tiny. That grew up being huge. He was huge when he passed away. And another one was I forget the name of the other anyone. And they were just the messiest creatures on the planet. They would poop so much and would create the nitrous. Oh my God! It was so rich with you can smell the nitrous in the air because of the way they're pooping, the digesting the heat and stuff like that. So I had to clean it 2-3 times a week, and I had to basically just flush the tank so much. It was such a pain in the ass, but it was so cool to see the swimming turtles, be able to swim underwater and chill underwater in the whole nine. They were cool as hell, but it was just too much work. Radiator sliders are a lot of work. I used to joke with my wife because no matter how many animals she wanted, you had to keep away because they'd end up dying. We bought you ever seen I think they're called ghost frogs?
No.
They're small little frogs that live underwater. That are in between. They're I think it's a mutation issue where before they become fully air breathing, they're water breathing, right? So they're fully functioning as a frog, but they're so clear, so they haven't gained their colors and they haven't gained their lungs, and they keep them suppressed that way so they'll stay being water. Mm-hmm. So they're beautiful little floating, whatever the situation. And one time they used to sell them, and my wife's like, "Give me one of those." I said, "Okay." And they're enclosed, so we didn't know how the hell to take care of it because this is the way they were packaged. It was an enclosed thing. I'm like, who the hell gives you an enclosed thing where you can't take care of the creature? So I had to find a way to get into it, to drop little pellets and stuff like that. So we kept it a while for a little bit. Left it in my wife's hand, and that sucker was floating. About 3 days later, I was like, yep, that's the last time we're going to give you a living creature.
Wow.
Like fighting fish. You ever see fighting fish you ever put
together?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, bad idea.
Yeah.
Bad idea. Very aggressive fish. You don't put them in the same tank.
No, not at all. I had a few of them.
Yeah. I mean, we've had plecos. Plecos end up being huge.
Angel fishes also.
Mm-hmm. I've had a lot of what do they call them? Not thieves. They call them convicts. You know what I'm talking about? The freshwater convicts. They're black and white. They're freshwater fish. They come in different colors too, but they call them convicts. They're freshwater fish. We've had a lot of those African convicts. Beautiful different colors here and there. We've had one tank that had maybe about 40, 50 fish. So it was about a 200-gallon tank. So it was going pretty nice too with that whole tank. The only thing we had
it's very peaceful and tranquil, and that's the good thing about it.
Yep, used to love it. Hours just sitting there watching the tank. Let them chill, go back and forth. It's something I
would go to Vegas at the Mirage. They had a huge tank right behind the check-in desk.
That's the one that the company tank made, right?
Yeah, they made that. Correct.
Yeah, yep. It's the counter.
A huge tank also in Dubai.
Yeah.
So they called them over there to put. As a matter of fact, another one of the tanks that those guys actually made. Guess where?
Where?
Ocean Casino, right here.
Oh, I've never seen a tank in there.
Yeah, they put a huge tank up inside of there.
There isn't. Where's that at?
I think it's on the first floor, something like that. You go downstairs. I think it might be down there.
You mean the 18th floor? You know how that escalator goes right up. The first floor on the 18th
I know they put one up inside of that freaking building, because I saw when they were doing it.
Okay.
Because they wanted to put it on the second floor, but it was going to be so heavy, based on the weight of the tank.
Yeah.
So so they had to get the structure and the whole engineers and the whole 9 yards. Man, it was a hell of a job.
I believe it, but it's really cool. I mean,
I believe that's also a saltwater tank because they want it to be identical to the Atlantic Ocean and the whole 9 yards.
It would make sense. You know what would have been a really good idea? I don't know if the economy would be able to lend them. If you have tunnels, you have these huge giant tanks, and they have tunnels underneath these tanks where people walk through. Something like that could be an attraction to a casino named Ocean.
In the Caribbean, they have that at Atlantis in the Caribbean.
Yep.
And Paradise Island in the Bahamas.
Yep. And they have it in Florida.
There's a tunnel, and people can walk straight through. That would be a brilliant idea.
Yep. The aquarium here in Camden, the whatever Touch Me Aquarium, I think that's what's called.
Exactly. And that's a good way to get people more educated with what's around us. The waterway and the whole 9 yards, because you see those type of sharks and those type of fishes or whatever is out there.
Yep.
And it gives a better respect for the ocean area and the bay.
And it's very cool. And imagine if you had like local, like I know in the Camden Aquarium, you have regional atmospheres created, small areas, and I'll tell you in this area, this is the type of fish, birds, and whatever that you see in this area. You had a fish tank like that, but I don't know if you could have as many fish to thrive, like that. I mean, I guess you could. I guess you could.
Yeah.
They
have a lot of businesses that actually cater to just taking care of the maintenance of the filtration system and the whole 9 yards.
Yep. I think that would be cool, man. It would be really cool.
It would be. Because, like I said, they have that in the Bahamas. If you're going into like the buffet or whatever, you walk into a tunnel and it's an aquarium, and you're looking at it and it's looking at you. It's really cool.
Yeah. Imagine walking in the facility and you see this massive tank and you see an entrance where the escalator is, and you're going up an escalator up inside the tank to the second floor. And the tank itself, it may be about 3 stories tall. Just tall, but not necessarily that big, so you can control the weight and water and stuff. But you still have an escalator going up through that tank. That would be fly as hell.
Exactly.
Company named Ocean. That would be fly as hell. Then on the top, when you get out, it's like the beach. Yeah, that would be kind of fly. That's a market. Yep. For those who are watching part of Ocean, you can take that as a freebie, as a marketing plan. But you got it from up here.
Because I remember one of the high limit suite at Tropicana. One time I went into the high limit suite at Tropicana. It was this huge aquarium inside of there. Because at the Tropicana, I believe it's like the 18th and the 19th floor. So you don't see it on the elevator. So you have to put a key inside it to take you to that particular floor. And that's the high rollers, So when you get on the elevator, just skip 2 floors and just keep taking you straight up to the next. But in between those floors are the high roller suite. And beautiful aquariums inside of there.
I can imagine, man. I can imagine. I like aquariums.
That's how they roll, man. I'm serious.
Yeah, man. And one day I'll have it. I told my son, speaking about aquariums and stuff like that, if everything worked out well and became wealthy all of a sudden, I'm building a house with a moat around my house that I can turn into a rapid river so I can swim in it. And also the same for fortress, build a channel so the fish can swim around inside of it too. Not in the same pool I'm swimming into, of course, but it'll be something that you can, from the house, look in and enjoy the view. You know what I mean? It's like a safety feature, in and out type.
Well, here goes some food for thought. Then you don't want to build it down south, because if you build it in Florida, you just might have some of that flooding coming in your way. Like this one lady, $5 million mansion flooded down in Georgia. The water came up, and she's like, I never thought it would flood up inside of my damn house. $5 million.
Man, the insurance company are probably immediately like, look, we're out of business. We're not here anymore.
Exactly. That's a grip by itself.
Grip and a half. First off, to find the assessment. Secondly, to be able to find someone to be able to work on the repair of it and getting it paid. Because those insurance companies are not trying to pay for what needs to get fixed. And they'll be like, oh, you don't need that. But I had it.
The first thing they'll tell her, oh, sorry, we never thought that water would actually come up into your mansion, and you don't have insurance to cover the water damage. That's what they're going to tell her.
That was the claim made by a lot of people outside of Georgia and outside in the realms of upstate Mississippi and stuff, because they were away from rivers. They never got flood insurance, like Salem, PA. They've never had flood insurance because they're not in the water table. They don't have issues like that.
But come on, in Manhattan, the 5 boroughs of New York, who the hell thought it would be flooding up inside of that piece?
But yeah.
How many of those people have flood insurance? None. Because they don't anticipate these things in the inner city.
There's going to be a lot of upset people trying to repair what they can and not getting any kind of help.
Yeah, but a lot of insurance companies, adjusters, some of these insurance people, they'll be just smiling and say, sorry, you don't have any insurance. We can't help you. And that sucks.
In a situation like this, I learned through Superstorm Sandy, that you have to make sure you have a wraparound type of insurance policy. Not only flood insurance, you have to have wind damage insurance. You have to have volatility and earthquake insurance also. All of those 3 parts right there can assist, but not 100% coverage if you get hit by a flood because of a hurricane.
And don't forget your homeowner's insurance at the same time. And don't forget your car insurance at the same time.
Hell yeah.
Because those are the two types of insurance things that are much more likely to happen. That homeowner's insurance, especially, and like you said, if auto insurance, obviously you can't be on the road without it.
Mm-hmm. Man, I'll tell you what though, it's heartbreaking. Well, first off, it's really reckless to think that, everybody likes to look at water, and we all imagine the same concept, looking outside your house and seeing a comfortable water. But you got to remember that water rises, and in storms, water can come in and creep into your living space. That's why, living here in Atlantic City, most of my life, if not all of my life right now to this day, wherever I move to, it's not going to be on the beach. I'm not going to live in a city that's next to the water. I'm living inland. I'm living far enough that I know that if water got to me, water deserves to get to me. Then they deserve to get whatever. Mother Nature deserves to get the house if you can get to where I'm at. I'm going to make sure I'm at least above water. The water, how you have a water scale, right?
Sandy, after that picture of Sandy, when she came through and you had, Midtown Atlantic City, flooded the whole 9 yards during Sandy.
Mm-hmm.
Where the walk is, that whole area was flooded all around.
I was there.
And the cops had to use
I was there. I was driving in my truck during where Sandy came in. It was up to where I had to, luckily the Fords were built with mufflers that were a little higher than normal. So I was able to travel through. Plus it had a secondary exhaust that set off to the side. It was just for performance. So it prevented from my vehicle being choked out, right? So I was able to drive through those areas, and the water was. I have one video that I was recording of the water, and you can see the lights of the casinos glimmering from the distance. The water levels were up to where the stores are. So we're talking about 2-3 feet high. And if you were driving through the road, I was riding on the sidewalk to get as high as I possibly could in areas that I knew the sidewalk was wide enough. But it was a lot of water. And then again, if you live in an area where there's a lot of water, remember that water has to go somewhere. So if it doesn't have a drainage system, it's going to go underneath the foundation of where you live. And what is that going to do? Make it even more rocky. Potential slides and stuff like that. You have ground swell.
A little bit of science. We all know that water follows the least path of resistance.
Mm-hmm.
So wherever you look, water is going to actually, if it starts seeping in, it's going to start coming in sooner or later.
Yep. Absolutely. That's why I'm going to be the only person that lives on a desert with a house built on pylons, just in case water ever comes to me.
Well, in this day and age, I'll tell you, good luck with everything, to tell you the truth, because you're looking at the global warming, melting a lot of the glaciers. Then you have the storms and the whole 9 yards.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, if you don't have to worry about that, if you're living in the desert, you have to look at a lot of the windstorms that they have there too.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, the amount of weather, and we talked about this a little earlier. Weather is something that you have to consider even more so nowadays, because the impact is huge. The impact is really huge. And if people aren't paying attention to stuff, you're going to put yourself in dangerous way. Like, people are considered, if you don't live by the ocean, you're going to worry about hurricanes. Doesn't mean that an anomaly can't come in like a twister, come in and you have to worry about the tornadoes that are damaging and stuff like that. And if rain comes about, it's basically the same concept. The only thing you got to worry about that you don't have to worry about is the surge of water rising. However, if you live near anywhere where there's a river or lake or pond and stuff like that, that water's coming from somewhere. You have a tendency.
It's going to come through.
Yeah. But it's things to really consider,
I see some of the residents of Atlantic City still are raising their homes, huh?
Yeah, there's still quite a few, because it's an insurance requirement. You have to be able to get insured. You have to be up above everything. Okay. I'm I'm sorry. I was trying to reach the American Rescue Plan.
Okay.
There was a discussion earlier about how a lot of the residents here, people who are taxpayers, were supposed to get $500 in tax relief, and then the people who are considered essential workers that work for the city were promised to get $3,500 checks. But those still funds that came about have been stopped here in Atlantic City, but other cities had gotten their monies, and they're sometimes double. Like I think Trenton was $10,000 a person. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Newark and Jersey City, each one had $9,000 to $12,000 a person. They were trying to pay people, and they weren't getting.
What is this for again?
The American Rescue Plan. This was to help with people who have worked as essential workers during the time of the pandemic.
Okay.
As a support for them helping, as a thank you for them working during the time of the pandemic. ARP payouts in New Jersey. I'm gonna see if something comes about. $923 million in COVID aid money was okayed in New Jersey. $923 million.
Yeah, the big question is, when is it going to get down to the people? See, that's the big problem.
Yeah,
they tell you all these big numbers, they tell you how much money or whatever, but getting it down to the people, they're never really good at dishing it out.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Because right now the discussion is $6 billion. $6 billion have been, New Jersey has received more than $6 billion in federal COVID-19 relief funds. $6 billion to the state of New Jersey. Atlantic City was supposed to get some in excess of $9 million. And the whole process was people were supposed to write a wish list on what they would spend their money for. And the more demand you had, the larger the potential payout would be. So Atlantic City officials or the administration had said that they filled out the max, what they possibly can to get what they could, and they were approved to a certain amount. And this money had come down, and as it was disseminated to the city, since the state wasn't involved in this process to the extent that the state wanted to, the state pumped the brakes. So the state was left with explaining to the general public, I'm sorry, we made a mistake. We didn't tell and get approval from the state, so we're not able to move forward. But we're asking the state to reconsider and hopefully soon to come about. So all I kept thinking was
crazy political nonsense again. There it is.
So that's what I said before. I said it's amazing how it's right before elections, and I'm inclined to believe that it's solely because of its timing that it went down the way it is.
Yeah.
So
that's a shame. They always seem to hurt the people who's actually supporting them here and there. That's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
That's the reason why those two parties need to. This one person said, come up with the People's Party that actually serve the people and help people out.
Yep.
Because it's look at the new governor of New York. Because we know that Cuomo is no longer in there.
I think he's still in there.
No,
he gave I know he gave a 2-week notice or something.
Yeah, he's out. She's running things now. She came down, and she's like, wow, my first day. She's like, my first duty is look at all this water and this rain and all this from Ida.
Yeah.
She's like hands-on already. The foreclosure moratorium, she said there's a lot of money that's supposed to be dished out to a lot of these people that the state is actually holding. She says, I'm not going to put these people's homes and put them on the street and put them in jeopardy like that. We're going to make sure that these people get the money and dish it out immediately. So I'm going to actually kick the can down the road when it comes into the foreclosure moratorium. Mm-hmm. So she moved it until mid-January, like January 15th of next year.
Mm. And so I know last week I was able to, remember we were talking about at the end people being able to certify to get protection to avoid someone being evicted from their property
Correct.
just for payment. I think there's been a lot of discussion about that, and there's some contestation. It's being fought and discussed how to enact it in a proper way that the Supreme Court wouldn't get involved in this whole thing, to give everybody some reprieve, because ultimately this whole process is going to hurt better than it's going to help. With all these individuals who can potentially be terminated out of their homes, then that means you have even less money coming in as revenue to the property owners. That means they still can't pay their property tax for the properties who have been, cleaned out. They're assuming that maybe they can find someone else to fill those apartments for them, when in essence, no. I think that's been the biggest problem, is not that we don't have enough, we don't have affordable housing. So as people,
you can't, say that you're helping one group of people, but at the same time hurting another group of people. And I think that's what went wrong right there. Because if the state was actually, getting, like says, the people actually fill out paperwork, sworn affidavit, and the money goes to the landlords to make sure that these people are actually covered, because you will be helping the tenant, but you're hurting the landlords. At the same time, you also have to get the mortgage companies involved in some of these things. The government has to go back and say, all these mortgages right here that you actually have, because I remember when they did it a few years ago, when Wall Street and the whole 9 yards, all of that stuff crashed, they says, okay, we're going to give a lot of people, not part of the moratorium or whatever the case, but it pumped the brakes on foreclosures. And at the same time, they're like, okay, we're going to reevaluate a lot of mortgages, but they only reevaluated, some of the conventional mortgage, but as far as the FHAs are concerned, they have those people, but the one with the conventional mortgages, they weren't helping a lot of people at all. So it was like really crazy. Everybody has to work in tandem in that line, or it's just not going to succeed. And that's what you're having. Everybody's not working together as a team. There's no teamwork in that line. You say that you put in a freeze or a moratorium, but at the same time, the landlords are being foreclosed upon because the mortgage company says, hey, you haven't paid us. But at the same time, the government should have been able to step into those mortgage companies, no matter, whether you're conventional, FHA, or whatever the case may be, and help those guys out, because they're at the top of the ladder. The tenants are at the bottom of the ladder. Homeowners at the bottom of the ladder. So it has to go straight from the top, going down and back up again.
It's a shame how this whole situation is teaching us as a nation what we are falling apart on, what areas that we're lacking so much in. A lot of it is putting money away for the right reasons in a way that no one can touch it. Like, how Social Security has been a fund that some state governors take from to pay bills or whatever, and even the federal government,
they call it a slush fund. They go up inside of there and they tap it every now and then and pray to put it back. That's what Chris Christie did. He tapped into a lot of the state funding for a lot of pensioners, and then he says, okay, I'm going to put it back. And as soon as the mortgage companies, the big companies, were sued for fraud, they took that money that was supposed to help homeowners avoid foreclosure, and he used that money to put back on the other side, because all they're doing is taking from Peter to pay Paul and back again. That's what Chris, he was moving it around. He was moving the money around. And then at the same time, he pulled the rug, from a lot of homeowners getting any type of, legal prevention from foreclosure. A lot of the attorneys, that was handling, I spoke to some of these guys, they're like, look, he took all of this away. So these people were in jeopardy from the get-go.
There you go. It says this is a title from NewJersey.com. New Jersey City gives employees hazard pay up to $7,000 each for working during pandemic. When we talked about Newark, $7,000. American Rescue Plan. That's crazy. And Trenton is receiving $73 million.
And what I was talking about with Chris Christie's with modifications, when Barack Obama came out and says, yeah, everybody's going to get a modification, who are homeowners who are behind on their mortgages. That never really went through. There were a lot of people slipping through the cracks, and then you had a lot of predatory servicers, actually said we're going to give you a more, some type of help or whatever the case may be, and then end up victimizing a lot of the homeowners.
Yep. Isn't that's part of the whole network, though? Creating this chaos in between, inevitably pushing the homeowner out and leaving these developing barons that have a lot of equity available to buy in and come in and swoop up at real things.
Yeah, because they said they were going to. A lot of these companies said we'll give you a modification. That's all you was hearing for a number of years, but it never really happened. But I will tell you something now, Mo, because of this, freeze on foreclosures or whatever the case may be. A lot of people are not aware, because I don't know if you saw my book online. I posted it online this week.
Right.
As far as mortgage scams or whatever, a lot of people are not aware that since they put a freeze on foreclosures, and if you've been in foreclosure for a while, the statute of limitation, because I've challenged this personally, is 6 years in the state of New Jersey. So you count 6 years that you've been challenging your foreclosure in court, and it comes around to the 6th year, that particular day, 6th year from that very first time, or from the last time you made your mortgage payment. That property now becomes yours legitimately. 6 years statute of limitation. After 6 years, they cannot come back after you. That's it. And I know because I've done it personally.
That's good information there.
6 years. 6 years, because remember, a mortgage is a debt.
Right.
And once, the last payment that you've made on that debt, if it was 6 years ago, to this day's hypothetical, put a date, say it comes all the way up to today or Monday or whatever the case may be, counting back 6 years, and you've been challenging that foreclosure, that's it. Statute of limitation has run its course. It's time bomb is what we call it.
I think that falls within the Federal Trade. What's that? Predatory Training Act, Predatory Lending Act, protecting people from predatory lending. It's that same case when you're in a situation and you have credit bills, or if you're past due on certain bills of some debt from in the past.
It's called Fair Debt Collection Practices Act.
If you're trying to protect yourself, and some odd reason, if you have multiple years and you hadn't made a payment, after a certain amount of years, they can't collect that bill.
6 years. 6 years, correct.
Right?
Correct.
Yep. Just don't acknowledge that the debt exists.
And the thing about it is, because I had a friend of mine in Vegas, and since I tend to do this, on a regular, he was like breathing. He came to me like, "Yo, Adrian, Sears sent me a bill for $3,000, and Sears been out of business for a number of years. There's no doubt about it." Right. So he's like, what should I do? I said, the first thing that you do, you don't pay it. And that's the best advice I got to tell my boy. You know what I'm saying? He's like a brother to me. The first thing I said, don't pay. I said, because I look at the whole paperwork and everything. I said, you're outside the statute of limitation, my friend. And I said, you pay $1 to that, you just put the whole thing back in play. The whole thing back in play. Now you owe them for another 6 years.
Yeah, exactly. By at least answering this, that's one thing. That's how I learned it, because I remember one time, much younger, I would say about a good 25 years ago, I was in a situation where I was in a debt and I was trying to recover my financial status, right? And I remember one company had run out of business in the whole nine, and he was selling that debt apparently to other companies, so on and so forth. One person that called. And I kept saying, I said, you know what? I want to see the original debt. Tell me what the original debt, and then we can probably negotiate. Until this point in time, I'm not acknowledging that you have a bill with me. You can try it all you want to in this way and that way. He says, well, statute of limitations. And at that time, I think they were talking about 10 years and 11 years. It'll be on your credit and whatever situation.
Yeah, that's nonsense.
Yeah, this is the threat they were saying. I said, all right, cool. I'll see you in 10, 11 years. And I never answered the phone call again. And that debt seemed to like bounce from this person and that person. And when I had done bankruptcy a couple of years ago, the guy was saying, he says, this debt might be roaming around because one time you acknowledged that the debt existed by answering a call or speaking to the person, or you made some sort of reference. So if you take it into bankruptcy court, you have to prove that you didn't acknowledge that this bill was here. And then because of bankruptcy, if everything works on, you can sweep it in, but that acknowledges that that bill exists. So it causes a headache. So what you do is you don't acknowledge that the bill exists. I don't know what you're talking about. Somebody call, you have a bill in debt. I don't know what you're talking about. What do you mean? I don't ever have an account. What do you mean? Where's the account? I don't recall an account with them. I don't. It's not me.
You see, the thing about it is because there's certain buzzwords. With me, with a trained eye, I look at the paperwork, and then I request the paperwork from them. and I give them 30 days to provide me with that original contract. And with all of my wordings in my 2-page letter, because when I'm dealing with like regular debt collectors, I send them like a 2-page letter, 2, possibly 3 pages. When I'm dealing with mortgage companies and servicers, I send them like a 15-page letter. A big difference, because I'm like, okay, I want to see all of these different documents because I know what I'm going after. I know what I'm looking for. You know, and it makes, you know, a big difference when you're dealing with two, because both of them at the end of the day are debt collectors.
Yep.
Because if you have a servicer that you're dealing with right now, and you're like, oh yeah, you know, these guys are my lender. They never loaned you any money. They're servicing for someone else. They're just collecting your money, taking a cut. If your mortgage is $1,500, they're taking about $500, and they pass the other $1,000 to the lender. That's all they're really doing. So they're just servicing it. But doing a foreclosure, then they'll turn around and says, hey, look, I'm your lender. But that's when you know that they're lying. So they change the hat over. You know, likewise, when you're dealing with a regular debt collector, they do some nonsense like that also. They say, hey, bro, why don't you just pay us $1 and everything will be straight. You're not going to work out a payment plan with you. You got nothing to worry about, my brother. You know, and they'll always give you that nice little smooth, you know, hey, can I speak to Mo? You know, they'll call you up with your cell phone, and you're like, hey, this is him. Automatically, oh yeah, you know, this is so. I have a list about over 100 different debt collection companies in this country. So when they actually come after me, you know, any member or client or whatever, I just go on the list and I know exactly where their website and everything is on there, and they have to say those few words for me. And even when they send, you know, this is a letter coming from a debt collector, and anything that you say that can be used against you, and those are some of the words that's mandatory. So I look for all of these little buzzwords, you know, and I get them every single time. You know, I just had to deal with one for one of my brothers in Vegas. You know, they calling me. So when I called them back, I says, hey, look, just to let you know, what company do you work for? You know, what type of business are you in? Oh, we can't share that with you. We can't tell. I said, well, then why the hell are you calling me? If you can't share anything with me, don't call me. Because I want to ask you questions.
Exactly.
You know, so the lady's like, you know, well, we can't go through all of that. I said, well, fine, not a problem. You know, I said, you know, I'll investigate and I'll find out exactly who you are and what you do. So that's no problem for me. And I did. You know, find out that they were in business for 14 years, their websites, the whole 9 yards. I mean, it's easy.
I think they feel that in the midst that they have the disclaimer, this call is an attempt to collect the debt, that it's supposed to resolve all the issues and so on and so forth. Just because you said that doesn't mean you're going to collect the debt. And you talking to me, you can't validate who you are based on that. If you can't validate the account and who you are, why should I even speak about something else?
You know the thing about that? Because those few words that you just said, it's mandatory federal law that they say that and put it on documents. Yep. If they sent you a letter and it's from a debt collector and they do not put those words, this information is from a debt collector, you can sue them for their debt under state law. And you can pick up 3 times the amount of that debt because they violated state law. The Consumer Fraud Act entitles you to triple damages.
Yeah. And that's a shame because that happens still to this day. And you know what? It's so much. The debt process, the whole system, the ecosystem of debt is so much part of the American fabric. It's a shame. That's why we have no foundation, no trust in anything. That's why the people who own a lot are usually like parasitic, man. They're eating like crazy, and they feel like they got to do that just so they can stay afloat. And then you got average people who just want to own a little something for themselves.
Now think about this. Look at the pandemic. There's certain companies going to make out like a fat rat during this pandemic.
Hell yeah.
And a lot of the debt collectors, when you get up there and you say, I don't want to be vaccinated, but you ended up in the hospital, but then you stated that God saved your life and spared your life, and now you're out of the hospital, that $20,000 to $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 bill is going to come due from the hospital. This one guy picked up a bill for $500,000 for being in the hospital for COVID. Is it really worth it? No. Just get the jab and call it a day. That's it.
That's it. And they hit you hard, man. The hospitals hit you
hard. Man, they don't even have beds. They don't even have beds in New Orleans because of the hurricane. They don't have any beds.
They have beds here.
Huh?
They're on a regular basis. They ain't have beds here. We had people. My mother-in-law had to wait almost 2 days in the emergency room to be able to get in a room to be admitted into the hospital.
Get out.
Beds. She had to wait almost 2 days in the emergency room. Almost 2 days. Because they don't have no rooms. And this is the crazy shit. They charge you an exorbitant amount for being in the emergency room. She didn't want to be in there that damn long, and she didn't ask for the services that you gave her. And and they throw everything. Well, we had to scan this, and we had to do this.
Oh yeah, that's when that bill runs up, man. I'm telling you. All of the things that they actually claim that they actually do to you, and at times they never did. That's crazy. But then eventually they're going to outsource that to a freaking debt collection company that more than likely you're going to turn it over to a law office that's going to come after you and split the dirty deeds, with the debt collection company.
Yep. Even the medical industry is a bunch of parasites, man. I remember going to a pain specialist because when I injured my back, the lower thoracic L4, L5, or it's L5 and 6, one of those, they have a compression and it was pushing up on my central nerve. And it was making me almost impossible. I couldn't bear it. I couldn't sit. I couldn't walk. It was really difficult. So after about struggling with it for about 2 weeks, I was able to see a specialist. And that specialist sent me to this other specialist to go see. They had tried to designate surgery and all this stuff through this. You know how they have surgery centers in the whole nine? Mm-hmm. And I was like, I was already told how in the very beginning by the first doctor that created or had a procedure with me, explained to me how they just built this surgery center. The corporation offered the doctors 50-50 for utilizing the services. You'll get 50% of the fee for using the services as long as you use the services through them. So you're getting paid off. So I mentioned this to the doctor. I said, why are you referencing me this? Why are you just trying? All this stuff that you're doing is you're just getting more money by. And she was like, I don't do this for money. I said, then why would you reference me to something that's unnecessary instead of doing it in-house at the hospital? Why would you do it at a center, a surgery center that's set up differently with a different pay scale where your name is involved and you get money and you can't go to a hospital where I can get more than one service provided and evaluated for that you can't do at the service center? She froze, didn't say nothing. Then she called me back after she hung up. I can no longer provide you services. Okay, cool. Click, bye.
Wow, you know what went on there? You actually called her out. Yep. You called her out. That's what you did.
And she wanted to be all ethical and this, and I was like, nah, this is what about money? This is a chance for you to make more money utilizing the system. First off, I don't like when they're always sending you to pain specialists. All you're doing is using drugs to not cure anything, but to cease the pain. And that's a compassionate situation in some. But in most cases, please look for a cure so the person won't be in pain than to give them and make them dependent on treatment.
They want to manage your pain. They don't want to cure your pain. It's a big difference.
Yep.
The money is not in the cure, but it's in the management of your pain.
Yep.
Just like with some of these doctors and stuff, they will send you to an X-ray lab, but then come to find out they're on the board somewhere with that X-ray lab. You go across to Atlantic Imaging, and these guys are part of it. So at the office says, yeah, go across to these guys right here. And they give you a script to go there.
Yep.
But they make enough money like that.
And you think there should be some high levels of ethics being involved. No, it just shows you how easily unethical even the industry of medicine is, man. It's a damn shame, man.
Yeah, because I had to do the same thing, this week, with my insurance. One of the pharmacies was saying that one of my meds would be a substantial amount of money. I called the insurance company. They're like, no. They're like, they can do this, they can do that, they can do this right here, and it will save a substantial amount of money. Why are they trying to charge you for all of these things? One of them, they were trying to charge me, for over-the-counter drug that you could just walk into with no prescription. This says you can just walk right into Walmart or anywhere, just pick it off the counter. They don't have to actually prescribe this for you. Right. Why are they doing that?
Right. I remember back in the day, my wife used to ask the doctors, whenever they had OTC versions and then you have the prescribed versions, my wife would be like, well, if they prescribe it to me, I don't have to pay for it. Nowadays, it's better to pay for it over the counter than have a prescription because you got to pay for it. Yeah. Foot. It's crazy. And some of the stuff is readily available OTC.
Yeah, over the counter, no doubt.
If you don't know it. It
look like Claritin. Claritin, they could prescribe you Claritin, or you can buy it right over the counter, Claritin. Mm-hmm. Zyrtec, same thing. they can prescribe you Zyrtec. Or I asked them, what's the difference between the prescribed one and the one over the counter? Nothing.
I remember that issue with my back, and the one doctor was prescribing me a certain type of medicine combination, and I didn't know that the one medicine had side effects that was really messing me up. I was getting sores on my scalp. It was making me making life very horrible, miserable for me. And then I'm thinking that's the one that's helping with my back pain. That was actually aggravating my back pain, causing a bunch of stuff, and they were prescribing this other stuff, and the doctor didn't give me any more prescriptions for that. So I'm like bugging out. I said, yo, I need this right now until I can get more therapy, so on and so forth. I started therapy, and the doctor said, where were you prescribed? He said, okay, why did you stop taking it? I said, because I wasn't prescribed anymore. He says, you know, it's Aleve. It's NSAID and Aleve. I said, you know what? I never even thought about looking at the medicine and stuff for what it is. I said, I could have been probably taking one. And to this day, when it comes to my back pain, I take 500 milligrams of a specific type of over-the-counter medicine once a day so I can manage the pain wise. I was like, and I was struggling for a while there, but they don't tell you.
They don't tell you and that's the thing about it, but a lot of the insurance company have in-house, I know Blue Cross and Blue Shield has an in-house pharmacy. So you can actually call for the insurance company. They'll connect you over to the in-house pharmacy, and they will be able to better instruct you as far as your meds are concerned, rather than taking the pharmacist, opinion.
I'll mail it to you. Or they set you up where they give you some crazy amounts. Like, remember from beginning with this pandemic, you'll get a 30-day, 60-day amount. Now they're offering 6 months amount. So
that's what they did with me a few days ago. I'm like, wait, why is this over the counter? It's my allergy medicine. Why is it so much? They're like, oh, well, we're giving you in 90 days. I don't want 90 days. Let's try 30 days because we got to make it through 30 days before we get to 90 days. That's ridiculous.
I was like,
they start junking everything up on you to get that money up front. That's ridiculous. I says, no, cut it down to 30 days and then we're okay.
Yep. They try to get you with the 90-day version. Then it's an automatic refill. So
exactly. For another 90 days. They're clocking it, man. I'm serious.
Yeah, man.
That wasn't like this more before. Before this pandemic, it was not like that.
Like every day, I got to take 3 pills in the morning, 3 pills at night because of my heart and additional stuff with my back. So, and then all the vitamins and minerals that I take anyway. So every day is like a handful of shit that I got to take. And it's
like a cocktail of drugs, huh?
And it is. Some of it is just unnecessary. Like the way I think. Like I can get my B12 if I had more broccoli, more chard, and so forth. So I try to do it this way, but I make sure because I know some elements I'm not able to get certain things. I know I just can't. If it's snowing or raining for the past 2 days, I need D3 because the sun. I haven't seen the sun. So and plus the way the body creates medicines, you have to make sure you have to get a certain dosage. That's another thing. Talking to my pharmacist, the high dose of vitamin 3. They said you're actually arming your body now to fight anything coming in because it helps to ignite the magnesium in your body. So you're helping your body, and anything excess, you're peeing it out anyway. So it's a good deal to continue doing. I said, okay, cool, good. So I made sure, at least from the pharmacist side, anything else in excess, you're just peeing it out. Okay, cool, good, no damage. That works. But it's that scam. It's that scam that continues that we all got to play into it. It's sad because
but you got to be wise. You got to do your homework at the end of the day and all of this stuff. The bottom line is talk to people that know better. There's certain people out there that's very knowledgeable in what they do. You see, and it's not always about the money. It's about helping people. And there are good people still in this world, and that's the thing about it.
Yeah, man, it's true. And businesses are just there mostly just to make money. So. A
lot of these businesses were hurting because of the pandemic, but some companies are going to be raking in that money, like you see, and you see the billionaires going up into space and the whole 9 yards and celebrating up there. That's what's happening now.
Exactly. Well, bro, we're at the almost 3-hour point.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, I want to give you a moment to say a few words before when I close out. I just want to say a few memorial words for my father-in-law in his passing.
Yeah, I'll let you go first with that because that's important. You know what I'm saying?
But
give you the stage.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that folks understand how it was well appreciated to have my father-in-law, John Overton Jr., June, aka June, come on. He heard about my show. So far, this is almost the 2-year anniversary of our show. 2.0 has been on for almost a year. And then prior to that, we had the show that started that way and other things. So he's known about the show and chose to take a better part. He wanted to play a better part in what my endeavor was and seeing how I was, and he really enjoyed it. So off camera, we would talk about this and that on the show, and he was always concerned that he didn't come off a specific way or this way and that way, or he didn't want to interfere. One of the things that he says that I hear a lot about people who are not from the immediate area, my family in Florida says this, and some people in California, Seattle, and Las Vegas say the things that they can't relate with some of the subject matter that we talked about because it's local. However, we like to they like hearing about it because at least they're aware about some of the things that we're dealing with. My father-in-law was very much aware about what was going on because he paid attention to a lot of the stuff that we talk about. But he was also willing to share a lot of his wisdom from his perspective. So it was really cool to understand. Like I said, I didn't have the opportunity to spend much time with my biological father, but I spent some not a lot of time, but a very important and very precious time with a man that I consider a father of mine, and my stepfather who raised me. He was an important person. I don't get to see him much, so seeing my father, my father-in-law come in was a comforting thing, and trying to participate in something that we were doing because he knew his baby girl was also in the background, being the associate producer also. So it was a family thing. So he took pride in being able to be part of the family, and it was just a really comforting thing to have him come on and share his opinion because he's a funny guy.
He was cool, no doubt.
Yeah, he was a funny guy. Some of the sayings, because he was up in age, he was an elderly man, but you couldn't tell he wasn't cool, and he was always trying to tell you, using his terminology, a lot of the rhyming words and everything. He used to catch us out there because the boss of rhyming words has always been Adrian. But when Pop came on, when June came on, he took it to that next level. So it was something that you couldn't help but sit back like, damn, did he just say that? Woo-hoo! I just crush a lot. Go ahead, Pop. So it was really cool to see him come on.
He enjoyed himself.
And play a better part, and he really enjoyed it. And it was a couple times he couldn't come on. He was trying because he's tech savvy, but he really is not as tech savvy with this new type of technology dealing with streaming. But he was really beating himself up because he couldn't come on the show a few times, but he found a way, and he was happy to being part of the show, and he was. So we really greatly appreciated having his essence and being able to bestow upon us impart some wisdom and some fun times. And it was
correct.
It was the pleasure of having John June Overton Jr. as being the new norm, part of the new norm family. And it was an honor to be able to spend what time I did spend with him as my father-in-law here on the show, and being a part of something that was very important to me and very much a part of our family. So with me being the host, I'm just very thankful that he spent his time with us. And I was able to have some stories that we can share later on down the line about some interesting conversations that we may have had on the show and off the show. So I'm honored to have spent the time. And I look forward to try to build relationships now with his children, my sister-in-law and my brother-in-law, who are in California. And hoping that we can develop a better bridge so his children, all of his children, including my wife, can play a part in this whole new thing, the new life that we all have to live, and be stronger and be brought together more. So we thank John wherever he is. We know he's looking down, and we really appreciate him. We're going to hold his essence in honor. I'm going to hold who he was to me, to my heart forever. And until we see each other again, Pop, we love you, and we thank you so much for taking your moments in time to be able to spread some wisdom, some jokes, and being as fly as you can.
No doubt, man. I love this outfit. I love this hat. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know me. I'm like old school. So when he came up with a lot of that stuff, remind me back in the 80s and stuff. Everybody wanted to go back to Africa. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We didn't have the money to do so. Everybody wanted to go back to Africa because of the apartheid and the whole 9 yards. You know, he had a wonderful spirit. There's no doubt about it. You know, he had a wonderful spirit, wonderful attitude, the whole 9 yards. You know, this shows like a legacy to him because he was on here and he had fun. This was his outlet of getting out, and he did mention it also.
Yeah.
You know, he definitely mentioned it, you know.
Yeah.
And just like, Nicky just said, he'd be truly missed, loved and missed. He was a cool guy, man, no doubt.
Yeah.
It was my pleasure getting to know him, and that's it. It's amazing on the family that you actually come in contact with when it comes to people, because we're all part of the human chain. I've worked in many casinos before, but the most important thing that I've come to find out, there's some of these people who are your fellow co-workers end up being your brothers and sisters in Christ.
Right.
Very, very important. They end up being family. There's no doubt. I mean, I have my best friend, he's like, here goes Uncle Adrian, I'm everybody's uncle these days, many times over.
Mm-hmm.
Even Gina, I saw Gina earlier today online. She's like, oh, I'm a little nervous. I'm doing an intern type thing.
Yeah, internship, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And that's what it's about. People loving people. And, we don't have to hate each other. We just love one another and keep it moving.
Yeah.
And that's what it's about.
You hit it on the nose. And that was something that my mother-in-law had said last week, make sure you stay in contact with family. Family is extremely important.
Correct.
Whether it's biological or just, a family of children of Christ, whichever which way you want to look at it, family is family. So we all should be
family.
We should play a better part in being better family members, right?
Exactly. You don't need to, backstab somebody or betray an individual and all of that kind of nonsense. Just love somebody, and that's what it's all about. I was watching online, whereas this friend of mine, I went to school with, who played basketball, for Lanikai. She was in the park and they had a whole lot of mothers and fathers, and they had a big sign, free hugs, and all of these people just walking up and just giving them a hug. You know what I'm saying? Free hugs, they don't want nothing. That's awesome. That's awesome. A free hug, everybody needs a free hug every now and then. Mm-hmm. You don't need to carry around grudges, because grudges are only going to make you grow old and die from a heart attack ahead of time.
Yep. Yeah.
And I've seen this firsthand because my best friend in California, I mean, he was going through a hell of a lot, but he was so cool about it. Every time I spoke with him, he did not show any form of, animosity, but he was holding everything within him because he wanted to get back at certain people. Yeah. But at the end of the day, he ended up dying from a stroke, trying to get back at people. Is it really worth it? No. Yeah. I'll give you another perfect example. When I went to my physician this week, they asked me a question. Adrian, are you suffering from any form of depression, low mood or any? I says, sweetheart, let me tell you this. I think you might be talking to the person in the next room, because this ain't me. All the questions that you're asking me is totally nonsensical to me. Am I, thinking about suicide? Hell no. Am I suffering from Great Depression? No, none of that stuff. Right. You need to go to the next room and ask those people that question, because you're in the wrong room, hon. That's what I told her. That's what it's all about. And John, he did a really good job, showing up online when he was able to get in, and he'll be dearly missed. There's no doubt about it. He's a wonderful person, man. Heaven's got themselves a new angel. That's all it really is, Mo. Heaven got themselves a new angel.
That's it. We're smiling up on us. And it was just, it's really cool. But you had mentioned something that reminded me of something that took place earlier today. We were in CVS waiting for a procedure to take place. And this lady just out of the blue. And we were in a community farthest from ours. And I was in an area I'm not known. Nobody knows me, whatever the situation. Mm-hmm. And I got a mask on and I'm sitting there talking. And some lady just starts talking to me in general about all the stresses that she sees and how there's no God in people. And she's like looking out of the blue, just conversations. And she looks at me, she says, I truly hope that God is real, because I would love to be able to run into my family members and my son in the next life. I hope there's an afterlife. I said, please believe it, because it is. Because ultimately, God is never going to take you into a place or in a realm that It's not meant for you. And I truly believe that our ancestors are there waiting for us, and our
Yeah.
loved ones. The loved ones are still there. Their energy is still connected to us. So they want us to prosper, and they're always going to be there for us if we just keep the light shining and keep understanding that our life is still have a lot of value. Even though they're not here, they value us even more. They want to try to do what they can for us. So I said, no matter what, all this stuff, all you got to do is keep dancing, baby. Keep dancing.
That's
And
it.
everybody was sitting there laughing and smiling, listening to the conversation. I was like, just think about it. It's simple. All this struggling that you do and all this time, find a chance to listen to some music and just dance.
That's the reason why I love music so much, because it's the rhythm of the soul. That's what music really is the rhythm of the soul. You know, you enjoy the sunlight. It was sunny today. It was a beautiful day. It wasn't hot.
Yes,
You know, enjoy the sunlight, enjoy the roses, breathe the fresh air, enjoy life.
Absolutely, man.
That's what it's all about.
Absolutely a beautiful day, moments to be able to spend with people you love.
Look at some of those people that lost their homes down south. You got to pray for some of those people. Another one is Anthony Rassman. My man is on his way down to help a lot of those people.
Yes,
that is something to be commended.
Yeah,
Brother
Mark is on his way with his crew. Yep. Last time he was down there, he was heading down south, and he was helping in another tragedy going on, and his trailer was stolen. They stole his trailer on his way back, so he went through some struggles. So, we're sending prayers with him, making sure he's safe. His intention is to be as helpful and be a servant of God as he is. So we appreciate him, and we love that brother for the goodness in his heart. But it's like you said, man, life is short, man. The more and more we hold on to some of the issues that we are, it's the demons that we have to face later on during this whole project called life. There's a concept called Jacob's ladder that is it's the constructs of how the mind works when you're passing. You have to go through stages of your guilt, stages of your anger and anguish, and stanzas of things that have been holding that you've been holding in for life, to finally let it go, to be able to transcend into the kingdom of heaven. It's the same concepts on this earth. The more you let go of the bullshit, the more time you have to enjoy what
exactly. Life's way too short. Like they always say, to forgive, is divine. That's what it's about, forgiving, because that way, it seems like the stress and the burden of all of these things, it weighs on a human being's soul, and we don't see it, but you can feel it.
Yep.
And that's the problem. And at the end of the day, it shows. Yep. It shows. He's like, wow, that guy looks like he's been under a lot of stress, man. But more likely, he probably is.
Yep.
And the thing about it, Mo, because a lot of people that undergo a lot of stress, the biggest thing is they don't reach out. Because there's help out here if you reach out. There is help. Especially in this day and time with the computer, the World Wide Web, there is help out here. But you want to make sure you get the right type of help, not no crazy nut job.
Very true. Very true. And it doesn't take much, man. We have to be very intelligent and smarter and humble to know that no one is perfect. And no matter how hard things are, there's always some sort of light at the end of the tunnel. And if you just open your mouth to say help, someone's going to come and be available.
Yeah, somebody's going to help you.
There's help going to be coming about, because there's always a chance. So let go of the anguish that you have. It's like thinking now, I get so upset and bent up through all the things, politics, because so much of the dirty stuff that goes on. But I also think about the good people that are in between all this stuff that gets left to fight underneath all this stuff, to fight to try to have existence, but they still do good. And there's so much good sometimes that comes on, so it keeps your light into it. Like I think about my colleague, Latoya Dunstan. She's an amazing individual, and I love her so much because of the fire that she has inside. And she's taking on fights that sometimes I don't have enough energy for, but she still does it. And she believes so much in the community, and that right there sparks a light in me because of what I know I've been a certain type of way. And now she's the new, she's the best version of who she is, which is similar to the version I was. And, it gives me inspiration. And it's just like the people around. Speaking of Brother Mark telling me the other night about some of the anguish he's been feeling and going back and forth with this idiot in this office. Forgive me. I'm sorry for using that term, idiot. But for this person who is in the office now, mayor, who is, they're going back and forth, and the mayor got personal with him, and he was really upset about how he got personal with him instead of keeping it cordial, keeping it political, keeping it professional. But he went personal. I just told him, I said, listen, No man can judge you worse than yourself. You need to let that nonsense go because it doesn't matter. If anything, it's the best of a mud story. We all have a mud story. What I mean by mud story is when you start from the mud, you have nothing else but up and prosperity to go from. That's where the seed grows, from mud, from the dirt. So that's where it goes. So this is your mud story. At one point in time, you were here. You went and got knocked down to the levels that you were to be able to develop to be the great man that you are, blessing as many people that you are, and being in the right frame of mind to continue to do it. Don't let that man's words be the anchor to set you back. You're moving forward. Don't let his words, because his words
rise up.
Everyone has an opinion of you, ultimately, but the opinion that you hold of yourself should be one that's great.
Most important,
especially if you have a lot of loved ones around you, because that brings you wealth. The loved ones make you feel wealthy because that's where your true value comes in. The love that you have, the true, authentic, no holds bar, non-apologetic type of love. The more people you have around you like that, that's when you can actually see that your worth is. That's what.
But there's an old saying, let my word speak for itself. Mm-hmm. Action speaks louder than words. Absolutely. Look what one is doing. Look what the other one is doing. The other one is on his way heading down south. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? To help a lot of people who really need help.
Right.
Let your work speak for you, and that's what should happen at the end of the day. At the end of life, you should look back and you should say, these are all the good things I've done.
Exactly.
Because I've done a few good things many times over in my life, and sometimes I don't even remember until the person reapproaches me. And Adrian, thank you so much, because without you, I could not have done it this way.
Yeah.
This would not have happened. And I just sit back, but I just keep moving on, just to keep being be the better you and the best that you can be, and that's what it's all about.
Absolutely, brother. Absolutely. That's one thing that's extremely important that we need to keep in mind, man. Because we're not doing it as often as we need to, man. And it's one of those type of things that we should do. Keep reminding us to be the best us that we possibly can be. And take nothing short of it, man.
Ain't somebody's playing soul music, bro.
Taking nothing short of it. But I'm just going to play this in the background while we do what we got to do and have conversations. But the one thing I say is, like I said, it's inspirational. One of the things that we do really good is being inspiring, man. I really love how we try to inspire one another. We inspire other people how to do this and how to do that. Enlightening individuals so they'll understand they're not alone and none of this stuff. Because sometimes that being alone shit becomes even more of a monster than it needs to be. But no one's alone, really. You know what I mean? It's just being able to see the true value in having the good people around you that you do have, man. So it's just one of those type of things. And then the more we realize that life is a short span of time, it takes you to fill in what happens in between the dash. And the dash means when you were born and when you're dead, that dash alone, that depends on you.
Exactly.
So, you know what I mean? Exactly. Being reminded of all the good that you do just reminds you of that you're filling that dash with wonderful.
But you want to do more good, let with all of the good, like it says in the Bible, let your cup runneth over. Yep. And that's what you want to do. Let it run over with, run it over with nothing but good that you have done to help other people, not expecting anything else in return.
Exactly.
It's a big difference. Big difference. Don't expect anything in return. Do it because it's the way you are, not the way you pretend to be.
Yeah, being authentic. Yep. It makes you even more valuable, being authentic. That's what I really love. Like I said, about all the people that come around, we can tell who's good people and who are people just trying to be good. And we've been blessed to have quite a lot of good people. You know what I mean? And that's the good thing about it. So I know myself, I can't say I say it anymore. I appreciate you for the genuine love that you've had, the genuine inspiration that you give, and constantly being that cool ass cat that I know. Everybody.
Something, I was working on a questionnaire today, and it says, do you hold grudges against people? I'm like, no, because if they're bad, they will destroy themselves. But if you're good, don't change your good to their bad, because then you know better than they are, and that's a big difference. It's a big difference there. People have done me dirty wrong. There's no doubt about it. But I'm not going to go back and try and see if I could actually straighten that out, because I don't have time for it. Yep. That's taking your positive energy and moving in a negative direction.
Yep.
That's all it really is. You're draining yourself.
Yep. And there's some signs that people need to pay attention. Sometimes people they kind of crazy, or like the young people say, goofy around you, is because they're the ones that done something wrong about you, and they're still not necessarily certain if you found out they did something wrong against you. So don't worry about how people act. You continue to be that authentic, genuine individual, no matter who you're in the presence with. Never try to change who you are, contort who you are to make someone else feel comfortable or uncomfortable, because it's unnecessary. What you do is keep being you, the best gangster you can be.
That's right.
And life is going to flourish you with wonderful opportunities and blossomings.
That's right.
Great opportunities to remind you how wonderful it is.
Just keep believing. As long as you keep waking up, keep believing, and keep breathing. And that's what it's all about. Yeah. You know, like my man from WBLS back in the day, Mr. Magic. I used to listen to that guy on the radio back in the 80s, you know, in New York. You know, be yourself, or you might find yourself by yourself, and that's definitely no fun. That's what it's about.
That's right.
You know, may he rest in peace, man. He was a real cool cat, you know, from back in the day.
Yeah.
You know, and like I said, your father-in-law was another one also, that, you know, real cool cat. You know what I'm saying?
So, Adrian, say a few words to close up for tonight, my man.
You know, I also want, I want to thank you personally also for taking the jab and accepting the jab also, and flashing your card that you got the jab, because it shows a form of consideration not only for you but also for your family and everyone else. And that's what everybody should do. Don't do it for you. Do it for the loved ones in your life. That's what it's all about.
Indeed.
That's what it's all about. You know, and like it says, you know, always be positive and test negative. You know, if you know that, you know, you're not going to take the jab, at least walk around with a face mask. Protect yourself and other people. That's what you're doing. Because right now, everybody is what they call blending. The people who are not vaccinated, they may be sick, but you don't know that. But you're running around thinking everything is okay until you end up catching them because you wasn't vaccinated also. Mm-hmm. Why take that chance? Why risk your life? Why put your family through all of that heartache and headache when it's not necessary, it's not needed?
That's right.
By not taking it is like being kind of selfish, because I have friends of mine and they're adamant. I said, you know something? I'm not going to argue with you anymore. There's no debate here with me. It's your life. It's your right. You do what's best for you. But I also pray for you in the meantime and in between time.
That's right. So I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you. And on my part, I just want to remind people, you have 1,000,001 reasons to be upset in life. But how about finding 1,000,002 reasons to enjoy it? Because there's always more reasons to enjoy life than to be sour about life. So why don't you focus on what's good in life? Put on some music and get your dance on.
Dance on. That's it. Or roller skate if you had to.
Right. It's only one life to live, and it's yours, and you have to determine what type of life you want. So no matter what, whatever everyone else has done, don't worry about it.
On.
Find some music and get your boogie on and enjoy life, because it's sweet.
That's right.
And ultimately, I say thank you to everyone who's watched, who's come on and shared a few words with us, a few acknowledgments. Again, sending a big shout out to my mother-in-law as she's going through her fight. I'm with you. And they ain't ready to fight.
Lady. I met her in person. She's a wonderful lady. There's no doubt about it.
Exactly. So as we continue with that, for anybody who wasn't there, who meant to be on here, Nikki had hit me up a little earlier. Gina, God bless you. Good luck on your internship. We know you're gonna do.
I know she's gonna crush it. She's gonna crush it.
Yeah, we know you're gonna do an amazing job because it's right in your alley.
Yeah.
So for everybody else, Renee, thank you for dropping in. Sandy, I was hoping that you was gonna stop by. Last week we had Laurel jumped in at the last minute while we were closing up everything. I hope she's doing well. Luckily, hopefully she'll jump on a little sooner. And next week could be everyone else coming back like a family reunion.
Yeah.
It is Labor Day weekend. So for those who are out there who are celebrating, recreating, enjoy yourselves. Be as free as you possibly can be. But here's the make sure that this is the restriction. Make sure you don't harm yourself or anybody else. Be safe. Cover up. Put a mask on. 6 feet. Wash your hands. Do everything you possibly can to enjoy yourself in a less reckless way. But Labor Day is just a good day to enjoy yourself. Remember, for the people that work hard every day. For everybody else, just kick back and enjoy yourself. Call somebody you love. Tell them, remind them you love them.
Yeah.
Call somebody you haven't talked to in a long time. Remind them who they are, who you are, and how special you are. And just make that connection. It's real simple. It's not that hard. It's not pulling teeth, and it's sure as hell not rocket science, man. It's just simple. Just be the better person, the bigger person, and just make that phone call. Hug somebody, like my brother Adrian talked about earlier. It's not going to cost you nothing to embrace somebody. It's an free. Put your heart next to somebody else, so your energies are shared. So
but make sure you wear a mask. Make sure you have a mask on, because he just don't want to be hugging the wrong individual. That's you don't want to be cozy enough to COVID. Right. So I want to put that out there at the same time.
Make sure they have a mask and make sure they don't have stank ass breath. Right, exactly.
It's cool to wear a mask these days, folks. It's cool. It's no longer the bad things for only bandits. You know what I'm saying? It's cool to wear a mask.
Right, exactly. So in closing, I'd like to say thanks everyone for coming by. We're hoping that you come by next week, and our conversations, more than likely, we'll still talk about COVID-19 and how close we are finding a cure. Next week, we'll also talk about some of this foundational money that seems to be coming around, which is being talked about in Congress right now, talking about more assistance. We're also going to talk about the education system, how kids are going back to school, what it is, the experiences they're facing right now with the hardships of COVID-19, and some of the limitations. And in some areas, there is no remote education. So how are they getting the education they need? So we'll be talking about that, a little bit of this, a little of that, like always, some local, some national information, but either which way, we're going to be sitting at the table, breaking off bread with one another. And you're welcome to come on and sit at the table with us, because here at the New Norm, our conversations are open to everybody because it's open to you. It's a conversation always available to you. We hope that you can stop by our website. If you'd like, if you're interested, stop by the website and you can see more information there, because it's so gallantly placed together. It'll be very informative. Plus the Cyber Mall that might give you some information of some equipment or services that you may not be aware of. And you can make some connections there. In addition to that, we have an archive of different shows that we have. You may be able to see some of the archives of some of the people that have vital information that you can share on. So please come on down to the website, thenewnorm.com. We thank Ben Sound for this music that you have in the background that they've all forwarded us, as long as we make sure we let them know.
Give them as props, you know what I'm saying? No hate, participate.
Exactly. And as we always say, please make sure that you stay positive, be positive, and test negative. So we greatly appreciate it, and we're going to close out tonight. Saying again, thank you again. And let me shut this off so it doesn't outshadow the closing scene. But thank you again. And until next week, peace, y'all.
Peace and joy.